The world dissolves into a violent screech of metal and a blinding flash. Tokyo Aochi realizes he is dead, his life ending as unremarkably as it was lived. His was an ordinary existence, with no family or friends to mourn him. A gentle voice cuts through the void, telling him that he is amazing. Tokyo is bewildered, wondering where the voice came from. A goddess tells him he committed no evil deeds, a claim he immediately denies. The serene woman reveals that she is in fact a goddess. He accepts the unbelievable truth. He is dead and now before a deity. Tokyo insists she is exaggerating, saying everyone does wrong at least once. She dismisses his sins as minor things, like lying about homework or taking money. He passionately explains he only ever lived to be honest for others' sake. The goddess agrees but muses that his death was far too pitiful. She pauses for a moment, her hand on her chin in deep thought. With a bright smile, she announces that she has made her decision. She looks at him intently, offering Uchi Tokyo a special reward. He asks what a reward is, and she says he received nothing in his past life. She snaps her fingers, telling him to accept this as a present from her. A glowing ring of magical runes materializes in the air before him. She will reincarnate him into a fantasy world of magic and adventure. He realizes this is just like the reincarnation novels he used to read. He can't believe he's actually experiencing this, but the goddess seems unconcerned. She decides to grant him the 4 basic elements, non-elemental magic and alchemy. He protests that he is not worthy, though she notes most people are thrilled. She adds a strong body, immunity to ailments, and language comprehension. She suddenly stops, remembering one final important gift she almost forgot. She walks over to where he sits in his ornate armchair. She places a beautiful pocket watch in his hands, saying she forgot to give it to him. He asks what it is, and she explains it is the power of time magic. She tells him this magic will light his future, as he is loved more than he knows. He frantically denies this, insisting he is not that kind of person. She gently tells him he belittles himself, living only for others' happiness. His eyes widen, her words striking a deep and painful chord within him. He recalls a past memory of forcing a smile, wishing for something more. He remembers thinking that it's okay to get angry or laugh for himself. She advises him not to push himself so hard in the next world. Overwhelmed by her kindness, he looks down, at a loss for words. He looks up with a tearful, radiant smile, thanking her for this chance. The goddess seems momentarily surprised by his genuine gratitude. She smiles warmly, telling him that he is truly a good boy. As his body dissolves into light, she notes his reincarnation is beginning. Her final words echo, telling him to find what he truly wants to do. He is reborn as a baby, nestled in a bed of leaves in a tree hollow. His infant eyes open to a strange, bright new world, full of questions. He sees shadowy figures and realizes he's a baby, fully conscious. He panics, his new body unable to move or speak as he wishes. He senses he is surrounded by 10, 20, or even more strange presences. He tries to speak, but can only make gurgling sounds of frustration. He clutches the pocket watch, wishing he could see the world around him. A deep voice wonders if he was born from the sacred divine tree. A large wolf man holds him, exclaiming in shock that a human has been born. The baby stares back in stunned silence, his watch glowing faintly. A crowd of talking animals marvels at this human, a creature they've never seen. His mind races, wondering why the goddess sent him to this bizarre world. A winged giraffe thinks it's impossible, but a koala confirms he is human. The animals debate if he is the chosen one from their leader's prophecy. They realize they may have to wait for years until he can speak. The thought of being cared for as a helpless baby horrifies him. He begins to cry, overcome with embarrassment and frustration. In response to his distress, the pocket watch in his fist begins to glow. A brilliant, sparkling light suddenly erupts, bathing the animals in its glow. They shield their eyes, wondering if this light is a powerful magic skill. The light intensifies, becoming a blinding flash that whites out the entire scene. A pair of bare, child-sized feet now stand firmly on the grassy ground. A young voice asks why this is happening to him. Tokyo, now a boy, asks why he is no longer a baby, holding the watch. The animals crowd him, asking how he grew so fast and if all humans can do that. He is overwhelmed, trying to wave them off as they poke and prod him. A large bear steps forward, telling the others to stop their noisy racket. The crowd parts, leaving the naked and confused boy standing alone. A majestic ram appears, and the other animals recognize their leader, the Osa. Tokyo turns to the new arrival, stammering, unsure of what to say. The Osa smiles, telling Tokyo he knows he is the reincarnated one. Tokyo is stunned, asking how the creature could possibly know about him. The Osa explains that he saw it all in a prophetic dream. He calmly tells Tokiya to come with him and summons his attendants. Two large snakes and a bear appear at the Osa's command. The Osa tells them to get clothes for the boy, as he can't stay naked. A flustered Tokiya is quickly wrapped in a simple white cloth. Now clothed, he is led through the forest to a large, welcoming house. One of the snakes announces their arrival to the Osa, who is inside. The heavy wooden doors swing open, revealing the mysterious interior. The wolfman and snake usher the hesitant young boy across the threshold. Tokiya looks forward, his face a mask of apprehension and wonder. He steps into a surreal chamber made of clouds and pillars of pure light. The Osa explains that here, they can speak slowly and without interruption. Tokiya is speechless, completely awestruck by the impossible room. He approaches the Osa, who assures him he already understands his situation. Through a large window, the Osa shows him a colossal, luminous tree. He reveals this is the village of the holy beasts, home to the gods' envoys. Tokiya stares in wide-eyed wonder, his mouth hanging open in amazement. The Osa explains that all holy beasts are born from the divine tree's fruit. He clarifies that Tokiya's birth from the tree's womb was unprecedented. The divine tree protects them and provides all the resources they need. Tokiya realizes this is why the goddess chose to send him to this place. The Osa says that it is now time to hear Tokiya's side of the story. He explains his dream only showed him events, not what is in Tokiya's heart. He kindly asks Tokiya to explain how he plans to live his new life. Seated on a cloud, Tokiya looks up and begins to tell his tale. He finishes recounting his past life, his death, and his meeting with the goddess. The Osa listens intently, stroking his fluffy beard as he ponders the boy's story. The Osa tells Sadaito to appraise the boy's power for him. Sadaito agrees and places a large clawed hand on Tokiya's shoulder. The wolfman's eyes fly wide open in utter shock and disbelief. He stares down at the small boy, muttering that this is unbelievable. Sadaito reports that Tokiya's latent potential far surpasses their own. It confused Tokiya asks if he is truly that amazing. Sadaito suggests it would be best for Tokiya to see for himself. A glowing interface of runes reveals Tokiya's impossibly high stats. Tokiya stares blankly, utterly bewildered by the information before him. Sadaito explains that this is the boy's status, a measure of his power. He confirms that every single one of Tokiya's stats is extraordinarily high. Tokiya is stunned, asking if that is really the case. Sadaito highlights the time magic skill, the source of his rapid growth. Tokiya realizes this power comes from the goddess's ornate pocket watch. The Osa and Sadaito recognize him as the prophesied guardian from the dream. The Osa addresses Tokiya, who looks back with a questioning expression. He kindly invites the boy to stay and learn to control his magic. He knows the boy may one day yearn to become an adventurer. Other holy beasts agree he should learn with them instead of letting his power rust. The Osa says the final decision is his, but they accept him. Tokiya is moved to tears, surprised they want him to stay with them. They explain that they can all sense his kind heart, loved by a goddess. Tokiya looks out at the friendly, waving faces of the holy beasts. He begins to reflect on his past life and his own nature. He remembers living as a coward, always afraid of being disliked. He recalls the goddess's words, urging him to live for himself this time. With a bright smile, he decides he wants to try living for himself here. He confesses to the Osa that he accomplished nothing in his previous world. He lived an ordinary life and died alone, leaving no memory behind. But he always found joy in helping others and seeing them smile. He admits that this fundamental desire to help has not changed. But now in this new world, he clenches his fist with resolve. With tears in his eyes, he declares he wants to know what he can do. He wants to use his power to become happy alongside everyone else. He nervously asks if his heartfelt desire is strange. The Osa and Sadaito look on with warm, accepting expressions. The Osa assures him it is not strange at all and formally welcomes him. Tokiya beams with pure joy, his face radiant with happiness. The Osa immediately begins making preparations for Tokiya's training. He orders Udai to bring Shirayuki, who will be a training partner. The snake-like holy beast bows its head and agrees to the command. Udai slithers out of the room to fulfill the Osa's request. Tokiya asks the Osa what kind of person Shirayuki is. Suddenly, a blur of white fur barrels into the room with a loud cry. The creature leaps through the air, tackling Tokiya to the ground. A fluffy white lion cub excitedly asks if he is the rumored human. Tokiya is completely stunned and dizzy, surrounded by white fur. Sadaito asks the Osa if this was a good idea, as the lion bounces around. He mutters about Shirayuki's uncontrollable magic, though she is very fluffy. The Osa smiles, reassuring Sadaito that Tokiya will be just fine. Shirayuki nuzzles Tokiya, declaring that she will surely save him. On his second day, Tokia begins his magic training with Sazai. He holds out his hand and is amazed as a ball of light appears. Sazai confirms that he has successfully performed light magic. Tokia is overjoyed that he can really use magic as Shirayuki smiles. He recalls his chaotic first meeting with the energetic lion cub. He had been so exhausted that he fell asleep using her as a pillow. Now he is fully rested and ready to learn from Sasai. Sazai notes his quick comprehension and encourages him to keep going. Tokia enthusiastically agrees, eager to learn more about his powers. He successfully conjures a dancing flame from the palm of his hand. Next, he summons a flowing stream of pure, clear water. Finally, he manifests a clump of rich earth with small sprouts. He exclaims how fun magic is, thanking the goddess for this gift. Shirayuki proudly explains that using all elements is a special gift. Tokia eagerly asks to see what kind of magic she can perform. Shirayuki puffs out her chest and happily agrees to show him. The ground erupts as massive, razor-sharp ice spikes shoot up. Tokia stares in terror, his face a mask of shock and fear. He falls backward onto the ground, narrowly avoiding the deadly ice. He can only whisper how incredible the display of power was. Shirayuki trots over, innocently asking if he is okay. She offers him a piece of ice from one of the spikes. She looks on with a slightly guilty and concerned expression. Tokia is still on the ground, overwhelmed by what just happened. The imposing figure of Sazai looms over the cowering Shirayuki. Sazai fiercely scolds her for her recklessness and lack of control. The snake warns her that Tokia is a fragile human who could get hurt. A close-up shows Tokia's arm, thankfully unharmed by the attack. Shirayuki's ears droop as she meekly apologizes for her actions. Tokia quickly intervenes, reassuring Sazai that everything is fine. He praises her powerful and beautiful magic, asking if she uses ice. Shirayuki's face lights up with pride at his compliments. She confirms she uses ice magic and will learn to control it with him. She declares him her role model, which makes Tokia happy. She happily pounces on him, rubbing her fluffy mane against him. Her eyes sparkle with affection for her new training partner. The two sit together after the eventful training session. Tokia reflects on his desire to learn more about this world. He stands in awe before the village's vast circular library. He marvels at finding such a large library in the middle of the village. Sazai explains that this is the best place to learn what he desires. Tokia realizes this is where he can learn about the world's magic. A large owl swoops down, declaring this place the village's wisdom. The owl explains it holds sealed history in addition to normal books. He introduces himself to the boy as Yun, the librarian. Tokia asks in amazement if he has read all of these books. Yun laughs, saying it would be impossible even in a human lifetime. Tokia requests books on magic and an encyclopedia of local foods. Yun is surprised by the food request, as they only eat tree crops. With tears shimmering in his eyes, Tokia earnestly pleads, "Even so, please." The librarian owl, Yun, flaps his wings, taking flight through the vast library. With a heavy thud, two colossal stacks of books magically appear on the table. Yun tells the boy to call out if he desires any other books to read. Tokia holds a thick tome, realizing it would take ages to read normally. With newfound determination, he holds out his hand and utters a single command. The book's pages begin to fly by in a blur of incomprehensible speed. He understands his time magic has two functions: accel to speed up time, and rewind to reverse it, allowing him to accelerate his own reading speed. He decides to push his power, increasing his reading speed by 1,000 times. Tokia's eyes widen as he grasps the true potential of his incredible gift. A moment later, the book snaps shut, startling the nearby owl Yun. Yun asks if he's already tired of it, encouraging him to read slowly. Tokia looks up with a calm smile, simply stating that he has finished. The owl stares back, its eyes wide with comical and utter disbelief. Yun covers his face with a wing, chuckling that the boy must be joking. Tokia proves his knowledge, asking a technical question that Yun confirms is correct. He now turns to the food encyclopedia, once again preparing to cast Axel. The pages of the second massive book begin to whip past at a dizzying pace. You can only watch, exclaiming at the boy's unbelievable speed. The wise owl perches on the table, observing the impossible feat of learning. You mutter a single impressed syllable, completely captivated by the sight. Utterly delighted, he declares, "This is fascinating," and offers to bring even more books. Yun flies about excitedly as Tokia continues his superhuman study session. 3 days later, Tokia lets out a massive yawn, finally finished with his reading. Yun is amazed, noting he even read world history faster than any holy beast. Having finished, Tokia asks if other humans live in this world besides him. Yun confirms this but says they haven't met any since the Great Three-Race War. Tokiya learns that humans, beastmen, and demons exist beyond their hidden village. Yun explains their home is isolated in a forbidden mountain range for protection. He reads that in all of history, the holy beasts only interfered once. They used their incredible power to bring an end to the world-ending war. Tokiya realizes how tragic the war was, leaving the beastmen nearly extinct. He understands the goddess sent him to this peaceful place for a reason. Yun remarks that since Tokiya is human, he should simply live like them. Just then, Shirayuki bounds into the library, cheerfully calling out Tokiya's name. Yun notes that his ride has arrived and asks about his magic training. Tokiya declares that as a human with a short life, he must learn quickly. He leaves with Shirayuki as Yun waves a wing in a thoughtful farewell. Yun wonders why Tokiya is trying so hard in this perfectly safe village. Under a cloudy sky, Tokiya contemplates what he wants to learn next. In a clearing, Sazai ends the lesson, praising Tokiya's incredible progress. Shirayuki enthusiastically agrees, proudly exclaiming that Tokiya is amazing. The fluffy lion cub stands tall, her training for the day now complete. Tokiya smiles warmly at Shirayuki, asking if she has a moment. He walks off with an armful of kindling as Shirayuki watches curiously. Using his time magic, he accelerates friction to create a crackling campfire. He cheerfully invites Shirayuki to sit down near the warm fire with him. With the pocket watch on his wrist, he expertly chops fresh vegetables. He stirs a pot of bubbling soup, filled with colorful, fragrant ingredients. Shirayuki watches intrigued, asking him what he is making for them. He explains it's a stew made with village crops and other edible plants. He carefully ladles the steaming, hearty soup into a small bowl. With a gentle smile, he offers the bowl to Shirayuki, inviting her to eat. Shirayuki stares intently at the bowl of soup, mesmerized by the rising steam. She tentatively leans in and takes a small, curious sip with her tongue. Her eyes widen in wonder as she softly says that it is warm. She looks up at him, asking if he really made this just for her. Tokiya smiles gently, watching his friend enjoy the simple, warm meal. He explains he worried she might get frostbite from her powerful ice magic. He had thought that she must be the one who felt the coldest of all. He sits holding his own bowl, a happy and content expression on his face. He reflects that humans form connections by sharing warm meals together. He has learned so much about the holy beasts in his short time here. They are independent, living without the same familial bonds as humans. But holding his bowl of soup, he knows he wants something more. He realizes he wants to find a way to forge a deeper connection. He tells Shirayuki he's so happy that she enjoys seeing him grow stronger. Because of her, he feels motivated to master magic just to keep her warm. He wants to help her learn to control her own immense, untamed power. He invites her to train together again and share another warm meal afterward. Shirayuki looks up at him, her face beaming with happiness and agreement. The two are shown training side by side in a field of jagged ice spikes. Shirayuki stands proudly amidst the awesome display of her powerful magic. Tokiya sits on a log, peacefully enjoying a bowl of his homemade soup. Shirayuki takes a determined step forward, ready for their next adventure. She presents herself with a cheerful, "Here," eager to get going. She playfully pounces on Tokiya, nuzzling him as Sazai watches from the forest. They race through the woods together, a blur of speed and excited motion. Tokiya asks where they are going, and Shirayuki says they are heading to the waterfall. They are off to confirm if a fruit Tokiya read about truly exists there. A month passes, and Tokiya's mastery of time magic has greatly accelerated his growth. He can now use rewind to undo mistakes, allowing him to practice without risk. Thanks to his new friends, he has settled comfortably into his new life. He thought things would continue peacefully, but that was not to be. Shirayuki cries out as a sudden, powerful gust of wind rips through the trees. Tokiya clings to her mane as they are both thrown back by the force. A deep, menacing voice growls that this must be the one. A massive black dragon looms over them, identifying Tokiya as the human child. The dragon stares down, its eyes filled with a cold and unnerving intensity. Tokiya is stunned, realizing a black dragon is in their supposedly safe village. His training kicks in, and he instinctively activates his appraisal skill. His eye widens in pure shock at the information that appears before him. A status window displaying the dragon's immense power overlays its colossal form. He sees its combat powers off the charts, wondering why it's here. Sadaito and Uzai arrive, warning Tokiya to stay away from the dangerous dragon. Sadaito identifies the dragon as a murderer of humans and a purger of holy beasts. The dragon roars back, declaring that this has nothing to do with Tokiya. Sadaito calls out the dragon's name with a furious hiss. "Eugene!" Eugene ignores him, his massive form turning back to face the boy and his lioness. Tokia gasps in disbelief, realizing a holy beast could be a murderer. The colossal dragon, Eugene, glances down with a cold glint in his eye. Sadaito and Uzai warn Tokia to be careful as they shield him from the dragon. They condemn Eugene for forgetting his divine pride and harming living things. Eugene dismisses them, saying he only came to see the human's face. Sadaito warns Tokia not to listen to the renegade dragon's words. With an annoyed click of his tongue, Eugene turns his head away. He powerfully flaps his massive leathery wings, preparing to take flight. He scorns the others for living foolishly alongside a human. He taunts them, saying they learned nothing from the Great War. The black dragon soars away, a dark silhouette against the sky. Shirayuki sadly watches him leave as Tokia looks on, lost in thought. The title Purger of Holy Beasts echoes in Tokia's troubled mind. Tokia recalls Eugene's expression, unlike any he's seen on a holy beast. He wonders if the dragon's actions are born from a hatred of humans. Sadaito begins to explain the history of the devastating three-race war. The snake describes the conflict as a tragic war of extinction. A flashback shows the warring races, explaining the holy beast's non-interference policy. The Osa decided they must intervene to prevent the world's destruction. Tokia is shocked to learn they participated in such a cataclysmic war. The holy beasts displayed their power to end the war, sealing away magic. But Eugene alone took a different path, slaughtering a nation of humans. Sadaito furiously declares that Eugene lacks the heart of a holy beast. They explain they kept it secret to protect Tokia from potential harm. Tokia is torn, not wanting to believe a holy beast could kill. He understands their desire to protect him and accepts their reasoning. He promises them that he will stay away from the renegade dragon. Shirayuki senses his distress and asks if he is all right. He confesses his shock, having believed all holy beasts were inherently good. She realizes that even divine beings can feel hatred and cause pain. Shirayuki perks up, about to offer her own opinion on the matter. She insists that she does not believe Eugene is truly a bad person. She points out that for all his anger, Eugene never actually hurt them. Tokia realizes she's right. The dragon had the chance to attack but didn't. He suspects a deeper reason for Eugene's actions than simple hatred. A new thought begins to form in his mind about the dragon. He recalls the image of the dragon flying away into the distance. He remembers the profound loneliness he saw in the dragon's posture. Tokia realizes they might only know one side of a complex story. He clenches his fist, filled with a new resolve to learn the truth. He asks Shirayuki to join him in investigating Eugene's past. Shirayuki agrees with a determined and happy expression, ready to help. He consults with the wise Osa, seeking knowledge and guidance. He speaks with the other holy beasts, gathering what information he can. He immerses himself in research, poring over books with Yun the Owl. 3 days pass as he prepares for his mission under the night sky. Shirayuki uses her magic to create an ice bridge up a sheer cliff. Her paws land softly at the top of the cliff face. They arrive at the entrance to Eugene's dark and foreboding cave. With a brave smile, Tokia tells Shirayuki he is going in alone. Shirayuki gives a solemn nod, watching her friend venture into the darkness. He feels the oppressive killing intent crackling in the air as he walks. Finding it too dark, he conjures a small flame on his fingertip. The light reveals Eugene, who glares and demands to know his purpose. Tokia freezes in terror, completely startled by the dragon's sudden appearance. The dragon's slitted reptilian eye stares down at him, unblinking and intense. He feels immense pressure but notices the dragon is not attacking him. Eugene decides he will at least hear why the boy has come. Tokia realizes with relief that the dragon is willing to talk. Tokia states his purpose. He came to learn more about Eugene. He wants to hear the dragon's side of the story directly. He wants to know why Eugene sought him out that day. He wants to understand the dragon's true purpose as a holy beast. He clenches his fist, declaring that he has found the truth. His face is shadowed as he reveals the grim truth he uncovered. He states his conclusion. Eugene's actions were a necessary evil to end the war. The dragon's eye twitches, then widens in shock at the boy's words. Stunned, he asks how Tokia could possibly know the truth. Tokia explains the official histories were sanitized and told only one side. He reveals that his knowledge comes from the experiences of his past life. Tokia explains that hatred from war doesn't simply vanish with a show of force. The dragon silently affirms the boy's grim assessment of conflict. Eugene recalls the horrific sight of the war 500 years ago. He remembers trying to end the war through intimidation like the others. His power was immense, sending soldiers and monsters fleeing in terror. He saw them flee, believing for a moment that it was working. He lands heavily on the scorched battlefield, his efforts ultimately futile. He realized then that his methods were not going to be enough. He witnessed the devastating power of the humans' magical tools. He was stunned by the destructive capability of their new weapons. Entire cities were wiped from existence in a flash of light. He could only watch in horror at the escalating destruction. He realized humans had found a way to create endless power for war. He was enraged by the senseless destruction caused by these new weapons. He understood that at this rate, the entire world would be destroyed. The other holy beasts were helpless, their methods proving ineffective. He saw the towering magical devices that fueled the endless conflict. He knew the war would never stop as long as these existed. The cycle of hatred and malice would continue unabated. He came to a grim and terrible conclusion about what must be done. He decided to meet evil with an even greater, absolute evil. To end the war, he became a monster, the Purgatory Flame Dragon. A single sorrowful tear falls, a symbol of his sacrifice. The tear hits the cavern floor, a quiet sound in the heavy silence. Tokia confirms his understanding of Eugene's tragic sacrifice. Eugene dismisses his words, turning away to hide his true feelings. He clenches his massive clawed fist, frustrated and pained by the memory. He mutters a curse, unable to deny the truth in the boy's words. He tells Tokia that the other holy beasts live in a naive delusion. He knows the peace is fragile, a truth the others refuse to see. Eugene warns that humans and beastmen are not simple. They are far more cunning. He says demons forge destructive weapons, while beasts exist only to consume other life. When he heard a human was born from the divine tree, he felt a profound dread. The other holy beasts were complacent, blind to the dangers beyond their sacred village. Tokia listens as Eugene admits his concern, even for an outcast like himself. The great dragon confesses that he was deeply worried about the other holy beasts. He was also worried for Tokia, who tries to protect both the world and them. Having seen humanity's darkness, he believed they were fundamentally different from the holy beasts. Yet Tokia passionately insists he wants to face them and truly understand one another. The dragon is taken aback, momentarily silenced by the boy's unwavering sincerity. Turning away, he warns Tokia that he must learn more about the outside world. With his peaceful mindset, he warns someone will eventually exploit his immense power. A sudden realization dawns on Tokia, seeing the truth behind the dragon's facade. Eugene turns back, gruffly asking what has caused the boy's sudden change. With a tearful smile, Tokia realizes the fearsome dragon was only worried about him. The dragon turns to depart, offering a simple, gruff farewell as he goes. Tokia calls out his thanks, overjoyed to have finally heard the dragon's story. He eagerly begs the dragon to stay and tell him even more of his tale. Eugene pauses, then reluctantly agrees that he will consider the boy's earnest request. Tokia runs toward the light as the dragon watches his small figure depart. At the cave's entrance, Shirayuki waits patiently for her friend to return. With a joyful cry, Tokia leaps onto the fluffy Linus's back. He looks down at his friend, sincerely thanking her for waiting for him. Shirayuki notes his happiness and asks what he discussed with the reclusive dragon. He joyfully relays his message. He has learned that Eugene is truly kind. With a whoosh, the two of them speed off through the forest together. They race through the woods, a blur of motion under the moonlit sky. The boy and his lion cub bound through the forest, united in their purpose. Tokia's face is radiant, alight with the joy of his profound discovery. Shirayuki closes her eyes, smiling contentedly at her friend's newfound happiness. Back in the village, the Osa murmurs, "I see," under the night sky. He realizes that Eugene has finally told Tokia about the devastating three-race war. The Osa panics, flailing in distress as Sadaito calls out his name in alarm. Sadaito looks concerned, urging someone not to overdo it for the Osa's sake. Panel. The Osa looks weary, calmly stating his time to return to the tree is near. Panel. Tokia smiles at a happy Shirayuki, determined to decide his future soon. Panel. Tokia stands before a group of wooden training dummies in a clearing. Panel. The wooden training dummies begin to shake and activate, ready for a fight. Panel. Tokia takes a fighting stance, his expression serious and focused on the dummies. Sorry, Pernoshuan Hamayim. With intense focus, Tokia dodges a swift attack from a wooden dummy's arm. Panel. From behind, Tokia lands a solid punch into a training dummy's chest. Panel. With a powerful shout, Tokia shatters the wooden dummy with a final punch. Panel. Shirayuki looks up in awe, impressed by how strong Tokia has become. A close-up of Eugene's large clawed hand as he explains his training methods. Panel. A dramatic sound effect panel showing a sudden, impactful reveal or action. Panel. Eugene in his full dragon form towers over Tokia and training dummies. Panel. Tokia looks up with a happy, determined expression, reflecting on his daily training. Panel. Smiling confidently, Tokia notes that his initial fear of the dragon has faded. Panel. Eugene's dragon face is shown, looking stern as he comments on Tokia's progress. Panel. The dragon challenges Tokia, stating it is time for a real test of skill. Panel. Shirayuki looks up with a tilted head, confusedly asking what the test is. Panel. Eugene rears his head back, gathering a massive amount of energy for an attack. Panel. Eugene unleashes a powerful torrent of black flame directly at a shocked Tokia. Shirayuki looks on in panic, exclaiming that Eugene is overdoing his fire attack. Panel. Tokia stands with a confident smirk, ready to face the incoming attack. Panel. Tokia casts Time Magic Stasis, his glowing watch stopping a wall of flames. Panel. The massive wave of black fire freezes completely just before it reaches Tokia. Panel. A close-up shot shows the dark, crackling flames suspended motionless in midair. Panel. Shirayuki stares in wide-eyed amazement, commenting that the flames have stopped. Panel. Eugene looks impressed, remarking on Tokia's ability to now stop time. Panel. Tokia pants from exhaustion as Eugene and Shirayuki look on after the test. Panel. Visibly drained, Tokia leans back against Eugene's wing to support himself. Panel. Eugene smirks, explaining the finer points of Tokia's different time-based abilities. Tokia smiles cheerfully, a bead of sweat on his brow. Panel. Eugene the dragon looks out over the forest, giving a stern warning. Panel. A close-up of Eugene's massive legs stomping down near Tokia. The wolfman Uzai strides into the clearing, calling out to Tokia. Tokia looks up with concern, asking his friend what is wrong. Behind Uzai, the massive dragon Eugene waits silently, adding to the tension. Uzai summons Tokia and Shirayuki to the divine tree for a serious talk. A bad feeling washes over Tokia. A gathering of holy beasts is rare. He tells Eugene he'll return later, then hurries after Uzai with Shirayuki. At the base of the divine tree, an unprecedented assembly of holy beasts has gathered. Tokia looks on, utterly bewildered by the unexpected sight. The other beasts murmur in surprise at the sheer size of the crowd. The librarian, Yun the Owl, notes he has never been seen outside his library before. The Osa, flanked by his attendants, prepares to address the solemn assembly. With his eyes closed, the Osa begins to speak of a dream he had. His vision showed him and Uzai approaching the tree, their long lives ending. Tokia and the others listen with shocked expressions as the Osa explains the premonition. The holy beasts live long lives, but they eventually return to the divine tree. The Osa's passing will be a great sorrow for the village and his attendants. The Osa's attention then turns and he calls out Tokia's name. Sadaito tries to calm the crowd, assuring them their leader won't vanish immediately. Sazai explains that due to the dream, they must urgently choose the next guardian. Tokia wonders what incredible holy beast could possibly bear such a heavy responsibility. Across the clearing, a voice calls out his name, Tokia. The Osa looks directly at the boy, declaring him the new guardian of the village. Tokia's eye widens in disbelief, whispering if it could possibly be him. The other beasts cry out in protest, questioning if a human is truly suitable. Sadaito reminds them of the prophecy foretelling Tokia's destiny to protect the world. Tokia protests, insisting he isn't strong enough and cannot live as long as they do. He cries out that he cannot protect them all forever. The Osa tells him that his compassionate heart is what matters most. He explains this empathy is the most important quality for the village's guardian. The bonds Tokia has forged with Shirayuki and Eugene are proof of this. Yun the Owl agrees, stating Tokia is earnest and cares for everyone. Shirayuki enthusiastically adds her support, exclaiming that Tokia is very kind. Tokia, his eyes filling with tears, looks at his friends in disbelief. The majestic divine tree stands. Everyone has acknowledged him, bolstered by the Osa's prophecy. Surrounded by his new family, Tokia smiles, wondering what he can do for them. The Osa's voice cuts in, stating that is precisely the reason for what comes next. He declares that Tokia must venture into the world outside their sacred village. Tokia is stunned into silence, his eyes wide with utter shock and confusion. The Osa explains their village is small. Tokia must go out and learn more. Sadaito protests, worried about making a human the village's future guardian. The Osa places a gentle hand on Tokia, hoping he will choose this path himself. Tokia looks up, still hesitant, beginning to argue against the leader's decision. But the Osa smiles, revealing they have always known of his curiosity for the world. The truth hits Tokia with the force of a physical blow, and he gasps. Sadaito notes the guardian has decided, asking Tokia to share his feelings. Tokia clenches his fist, quietly apologizing for his hesitation and doubt. He confesses internally that he has always longed to see the outside world. He recalls Eugene's words, to be a worthy guardian, he must know the world. He remembers the goddess's wish, that he live to discover what he can accomplish. He knows he cannot protect anyone while remaining ignorant of the world beyond. A wave of sadness hits him as he realizes he must leave his friends behind. The Osa looks on with a kind expression, gently telling him not to cry. Tears stream down Tokiya's face as the Osa says this is his chosen path. He kneels, thanking the Osa, Sadaito, and all the holy beasts for everything. The Osa muses thoughtfully that sending him out alone would be a bit cruel. A fluffy white paw immediately shoots into the air as Shirayuki volunteers. With a beaming smile, she declares she wants to join Tokiya on his journey. Tokiya is shocked, reminding her this is her last chance to be with the Osa. Shirayuki says she loves the Osa, but she wants to be with Tokiya always. She turns back, exclaiming she can't just wait and wants to travel far away. The other beasts murmur that they are practically kicking out their future guardian. Suddenly, a massive shadow falls as Eugene the dragon makes a grand entrance. The other beasts demand to know why the fearsome Purgatory King Dragon is here. Before Eugene can speak, Tokiya knowingly says the dragon is coming with them. Eugene is flustered, sputtering that Tokiya shouldn't have spoiled his entrance. Tokiya simply looks up at the great dragon, his face lit with a tearful smile. Eugene pokes the boy's head, gruffly warning him the outside world isn't so sweet. With a bright smile, Tokiya tells Eugene he's counting on him for the journey. A vast, seemingly endless forest stretches out under a cloudy sky before the travelers. Tokiya stands with his friends, formally announcing his departure to the Osa and others. The Osa blesses his journey, telling him to learn of the world and return worthy. Smiling serenely, the Osa feels relieved by the boy's decision and has no regrets. Tokiya suddenly worries that his non-human companions will stand out too much in the world. Shirayuki puffs out her chest, confidently assuring him that he has nothing to fear. With a shout, Tokiya unleashes a brilliant flash of light, beginning a magical transformation. As the dazzling light fades, Tokiya is left momentarily dazed by the sudden change. His friends are revealed in new forms, a stoic man and a cheerful cat-eared girl. Tokiya stares in comical shock, his eyes spiraling as he questions their new appearances. Shirayuki proudly explains her transformation magic, though Eugene dislikes his new, weaker form. Tokiya is amazed by their disguises, realizing they can now blend into the human world. Eugene, annoyed by their antics, tells them it's time to stop messing around. Tokiya gushes over Eugene's handsome new form as they are unceremoniously carried away. Light streams through the canopy of the great divine tree, bidding them a silent farewell. The many holy beasts of the village gather to wave a heartfelt goodbye to them. The trio leaves their home, waving happily, feeling no anxiety about the journey ahead. A flock of birds soars into the sky, a symbol of their infinite possibilities. A sudden premonition shows a terrified young girl surrounded by monstrous slime creatures. The girl's face is a mask of terror, hinting at the future dangers. Shirayuki marvels at the world outside the village, so different from their sacred home. Tokiya observes that this new forest is much denser than the woods around the village. Eugene explains their home is an idealized space, and Tokiya agrees it was beautiful. The group ventures deeper into the woods, with Shirayuki happily skipping far ahead. Eugene and Tokiya both sense a nearby presence, their expressions turning serious and alert. The sound of something large crashing through the undergrowth shatters the forest quiet. Eugene urgently warns Tokiya that the unseen creatures are about to attack them. A pack of vicious, multi-tailed wolves burst from the foliage, charging straight at them. Tokiya's face freezes in a mask of pure panic, his mind going completely blank. Acting on pure instinct, he desperately shoves Shirayuki behind him to shield her. A wolf's predatory eye reflects the terrified boy, highlighting his sudden helplessness. Overwhelmed by fear, Tokiya looks down in despair, believing it is no use. Eugene unleashes a vortex of shadow flame while Shirayuki summons a blizzard of ice. Tokiya watches in stunned silence, completely overwhelmed by his companion's incredible power. The demonic wolves are caught in the crossfire, instantly seared and shredded by the magic. Shirayuki gleefully prepares to unleash yet another blast of her devastating ice magic. With sudden urgency, Tokiya cries out, pleading with Shirayuki not to kill them. Startled by his cry, Shirayuki halts her attack, her expression filled with surprise. The last surviving wolf whimpers and turns tail, fleeing into the safety of the woods. Shirayuki looks back at Tokiya as the last of their attackers disappears from view. Crouching on the ground, Tokiya murmurs to himself that the fight is finally over. He turns and apologizes to both of his friends for his sudden outburst and hesitation. Shirayuki reassures him it's okay, while Eugene notes that his power makes him a target. Tokia smiles gratefully, thanking them for sparing the creatures, as he hates seeing things die. He recalls his past life and his peaceful time with the holy beasts. He sincerely thanks his companions again for noticing how shaken he was by the violence. Eugene looks away, slightly embarrassed, and acknowledges his thanks with a simple grunt. Tokia feels glad they are with him, but resolves that he must learn to fight alone. As evening approaches, the sky darkens above the dense forest canopy. Tokia stands up, deciding it is time for them to make camp. He cheerfully announces that since the sun is setting, they should prepare for the night. Eugene scoffs from a nearby log, sarcastically asking if they plan to eat grass. With a bright smile, Tokia promises that he has something much better in mind. He raises his hand high, preparing to cast a spell in the middle of the clearing. He chants, summoning a tier in reality that he calls his pocket dimension. A surprised Eugene wonders when Tokia managed to learn such advanced spatial magic. Tokia proudly explains he read 200 books and practiced 5,000 times to master it. He and Shirayuki peer into the dark portal as he reaches inside. His eyes light up as he exclaims that he has found what he was looking for. He pulls out a small bottle of powder, asking Shirayuki if she thinks it's just ash. He confirms that it is ash for now, but hints that is about to change. With a single command, rewind, he pours the ash out onto the ground. In a burst of magical energy, a full-size tent instantly materializes from the dust. Shirayuki is amazed, while Eugene calmly deduces that Tokia simply burned a pre-built tent. Tokia holds up a finger, happily announcing that he has even more prepared for them. With a look of sudden inquiry, Tokia asks about the man's identity. He explains his newest invention, canned goods made with alchemy and ice magic. First, he forges containers, then uses stasis to perfectly preserve the cooked meal. With a simple rewind command, he restores the food to a steaming pot-au-feu. Shirayuki joyfully declares the meal delicious, while Eugene grudgingly admits it's not bad. Beaming, Tokia happily tells his friends to eat as much as they like. The trio enjoys their warm, magically preserved meal at their campsite for the night. As the evening wears on, Shirayuki feels a wave of sleepiness coming over her. She lets out a great big yawn, covering her mouth with her hand. Announcing she is sleepy, Eugene agrees that it is probably time for bed. Murmuring her agreement, she quickly drifts off to sleep where she sits. With a soft poof, she suddenly transforms back into her fluffy lion cub form. Tokia points in shock, asking if holy beasts revert to their true forms while sleeping. Eugene explains she isn't used to her human form and reverts when she relaxes. Tokia is relieved, realizing it would be a disaster if Eugene did that in town. He uses the fluffy lioness as a pillow as she sleep talks about being full. As he dozes off, Tokia vows to become strong enough to fight for his friends. Hearing this, a rare, faint smile touches Eugene's lips. The three companions sleep soundly through the night in the quiet forest. Their journey continues, with time passing as they travel deeper into the woods. 3 days have passed since they first ventured out from their hidden home. Tokia reflects that he has grown used to the journey, despite still being protected. He smiles, thinking of all the strange and funny things that have happened. Spotting a human path, he wonders if they are finally leaving the forest. Eugene confirms that a human town lies just beyond the tree line. Tokia marvels that it's so close, wondering why no one ever found their village. Shirayuki explains that powerful magic conceals the entire forest from outsiders. She looks quite proud of her home's powerful and secretive magical protection. Suddenly, her ears twitch as she catches a strange, unpleasant scent on the wind. Tokia agrees, noticing the odd smell now that she has pointed it out. Eugene's expression grows grim, and he warns them to be on their guard. He reveals the source, a nearby place known as the Demon Beast Graveyard. Tokia gulps, deeply unsettled by the ominous name and the foreboding sight. Eugene's eyes narrow, sensing the immense danger the place represents. Eugene warns that this is a real graveyard. Once you step in, you can't get out. Suddenly, a sharp cry for help pierces the silence, startling both Eugene and Tokia. Tokia realizes the sound came from the southwest, the direction of the Demon Beast Graveyard. Shirayuki confirms his fears, smelling both a human and a demonic beast from that direction. She worries someone is under attack and urges them to go, as Eugene grumbles about Tokia's nature. Tokia takes charge, commanding his friends to grab onto him as they rush to the scene. He spots the source of the commotion and tells Shirayuki to prepare her magic immediately. With a great rush of movement, they burst through the trees and into a clearing. A small, terrified girl is surrounded by slimes near a churning, black pool of energy. The girl's face is streaked with tears as the gelatinous creatures close in on her. Tokia stares in shock, trying to identify the strange pulsating monsters before him. Shirayuki recognizes them as a bouncing swarm of slimes, a type of demonic beast. One of the slimes lunges, latching onto the girl's shoe with a sickening squelch. Eugene warns that this is a bottomless swamp from the war. One misstep means certain death. Shirayuki declares that she will handle it, stepping forward to unleash her ice magic. The little girl looks up, confused and terrified by the sudden surge of power. With a powerful cry, Shirayuki casts Cold Wind Freeze, blanketing the area in ice. The girl is caught in the blast, frozen solid in a moment of pure terror. Tokia steps forward confidently, announcing that he will stop the slimes with his time magic. Eugene warns him not to be reckless, as controlling so many is his greatest weakness. Tokia insists he can handle it, casting stasis and subordination magic time. The world freezes as his magic takes hold, stopping every slime in midair. He focuses his power, planning to cast his spells repeatedly within this frozen moment. He unleashes a barrage of rewind spells, forcing the slimes to de-age. The swarm of slimes begins to shrink and revert under his temporal assault. One by one, the slimes pop out of existence, reduced to nothing. Tokia smiles, holding a single, now harmless slime in his gloved hand. Shirayuki marvels at how he used his time-reversing magic to tame the entire swarm. A deep roar echoes as a massive, shadowy bear announces its presence with a snarl. Shirayuki identifies it as a bloody bear, screaming that they must save the girl. The colossal bear looms over the clearing, its gaze fixed on the small boy. Tokia's expression hardens with determination as he prepares to face the new threat. The little girl, now free from the ice, can only stare in utter horror. With the young girl on the ground, Tokia stands firm, arm outstretched protectively. His expression hardens with resolve as he declares that he will protect everyone. He turns to his allies, commanding the slimes to absorb the monster's powerful attack. The de-aged slimes obey, hopping forward to form a single gelatinous mass. They create a living shield, intercepting the charging bear as Tokia prepares his spell. He thrusts his hand forward, the pocket watch glowing as he casts his stasis magic. The bloody bear's massive fanged maw freezes in place, caught mid-roar. With the colossal beast suspended in time, Tokia calls out to Eugene for assistance. Eugene grins, impressed by the boy's move, and prepares a devastating finishing blow. He leaps into the air, unleashing his powerful jet nail attack upon the creature. The dark magic claws slash across the bear's body with a deafening impact. The monstrous bear collapses to the ground, its eyes vacant as it is defeated. Tokia looks on in awe, realizing he was finally able to truly fight. Eugene gently places a hand on the boy's head in a rare, approving gesture. He smiles, praising Tokia for overcoming his fear in order to protect another. Shirayuki clenches her fists in excitement, cheering that Tokia was incredibly cool. The group stands together in the clearing before the vanquished demonic beast. Tokia's moment of triumph is cut short as he remembers the reason for the battle. He rushes to the girl's side, frantically asking if she is all right or injured. Scarlet looks up at him, her face crumpling as she begins to cry. The terrified girl lets out a loud wail, crying that she was so scared. The sudden outburst sends the entire group into a state of complete panic. They stand frozen, utterly bewildered and unsure of how to calm the child. Tokia frets, wondering why she is crying now that everything is safe. Eugene explains that a more powerful entity was likely controlling the slimes and bear. He looms over the girl, sternly telling her to stop crying and state her name. His intimidating presence only terrifies her more, causing her to flinch away. Tokia quickly pushes Eugene back, telling him to stay away from the girl. Shirayuki agrees, yelling that his scary face is frightening her. Stunned by their words, Eugene recoils in shock. Shirayuki makes goofy faces as Tokia offers the girl fruit to calm her down. The kind gesture works. Scarlet's tears subside as a small, grateful smile appears. Tokia and Shirayuki watch on, relieved to have finally calmed her down. As Eugene watches from behind, Rin asks what everyone wants to eat on their journey. Eugene addresses the group of small slimes, asking if his face is truly that grim. The slimes respond not with words, but with a series of happy, affirmative jiggles. With a quiet sigh of acceptance, Eugene turns away from his strange new admirers. From behind, a young girl with a large bow in her hair watches the scene. She turns, her face breaking into a radiant smile as she introduces herself as Scarlet. Tokia asks if that is her name, and Scarlet proudly confirms she is 8 years old. Shirayuki coos affectionately, remarking on what a good and energetic child she is. Tokia crouches down, preparing to offer some of his food to the helpful slimes. He thanks the slimes for their help, wondering aloud if they can eat his meal. Scarlet gently places the open can of food on the ground for the slimes. Shirayuki watches the interaction, a look of pleasant surprise on her face. Tokiya sees Scarlet is still frightened and gently suggests they should move on. Shirayuki reassures the girl that it's okay, as Tokiya has the slimes under his control. She adds that the slimes had bravely protected Scarlet from the monstrous bear. Scarlet looks on, a single tear welling in her eye as she listens. She bites her lower lip, trying to hold back a wave of emotion. Tokiya and his friends turn in surprise as she makes a sudden move. Scarlet turns away from them, walking toward the cluster of waiting slimes. She gently places the can of food on the ground before the gelatinous creatures. Kneeling down, she offers a quiet, heartfelt thank you to her small protectors. Eugene watches, remarking with surprise that a human and demons are getting along. He recalls the brutal history of the world, where demons only sought to consume others. Tokiya looks on, his expression serious as he takes in the profound scene. A curious slime nudges the can of food, investigating the offering. With a soft plop, the slime engulfs the entire can in its gelatinous body. Shirayuki is shocked while an adventurer notes how bold the little creature is. Scarlet's eyes go wide with delight, little hearts floating around her head. Her face is a picture of pure, unadulterated joy as she giggles happily. A quiet view of the forest canopy marks a shift in the mood. Tokiya notices something about Scarlet, his gaze falling to her feet. Eugene wonders aloud why such a small child is wandering alone in the forest. Scarlet hesitates, clutching her dress as she prepares to explain herself. Tokiya's eyes widen as he notices her expensive clothes, suspecting a kidnapping. She explains she read about a rare fruit and hoped to sell it for her father's shop. Tokiya's expression softens, a blush of empathy appearing on his cheeks. He asks if they can escort her home, and she eagerly agrees. Scarlet's face falls as she admits she ran frantically and may have lost her way. Shirayuki holds up a hand, confidently telling the girl not to worry. She declares that she can easily follow Scarlet's scent to find the way back. Winking, Shirayuki tells Scarlet to leave everything to her big sister. The group sets off, following Shirayuki as she confidently leads the way. Shirayuki trots ahead, a smug and satisfied look on her cat-like face. Their feet tread the grassy path, leading them toward the edge of the woods. Tokiya pushes aside some branches and gasps, announcing that he can see it. He stands in stunned silence, looking down at a massive, walled human city. Eugene identifies the city as vistas, promising they will see many new things. Shirayuki asks about rare meats while Tokiya stares, captivated by the sight. The group looks out over the city as Tokiya decides it's time to go. Scarlet suddenly stops, her head turning as she recognizes something in the distance. Her eyes widen in shock as she cries out for her papa and mama. She dashes down the path, ignoring Tokiya's calls for her to wait. Their feet pound the dirt as they hurry to follow the little girl. Tokiya, Shirayuki, and Eugene look on with identical expressions of surprise. By a large covered wagon, a group of worried-looking adults are gathered. Scarlet runs toward them, her voice filled with relief as she calls for her parents. A man with a monocle and a kind-faced woman turn, their faces lighting up. They rush to embrace their daughter, thanking God that she is finally safe. Scarlet sobs into her father's chest, explaining her misguided adventure. He smiles warmly, telling her all that matters is that she is unharmed. He then notices the trio, asking who they are and what the slimes are. Tokiya flails his hands, completely flustered and unable to form an explanation. Scarlet explains that these are the people who saved her from the monsters. Her father, Linus, is shocked to hear that his daughter was in danger. He bows deeply to Eugene, thanking him profusely for saving his child. Eugene, looking uncomfortable, clarifies that he wasn't the one who helped. He explains that the true hero of the day was the young boy, Tokiya. Linus adjusts his monocle, peering at the small boy with utter disbelief. Tokiya panics, realizing he can't reveal the truth about his origins. Shirayuki and Eugene quickly invent a plausible cover story for the flustered boy. Tokiya is internally screaming, certain that their outlandish story is too suspicious. Eugene politely asks Linus not to inquire any further about their past. Linus strokes his mustache, considering their story before saying he understands. He bows deeply to Tokiya, thanking him once more for protecting his daughter. Tokiya is amazed that the man believed them, his heart filled with gratitude. Shirayuki and Eugene coolly inform him that they had a scenario prepared. Tokiya is moved by their support, feeling a pang of anxiety about keeping the secret. The man introduces himself with a warm smile as Linus Ainsworth. He then gestures to his kind-faced wife, introducing her as Holly. Next, he introduces his eldest son, Isaac, who looks on impassively. A beaming Scarlet then happily introduces herself as the eldest daughter. Tokiya and Shirayuki politely greet the family, saying it's a pleasure to meet them. Isaac gives the strange group a cold, suspicious glare. Takia looks back, confused and slightly intimidated by the boy's unfriendly gaze. Linus warmly invites Tokia and his companions to visit his shop as thanks. Scarlet pulls Tokia along, telling him not to worry about being formal. She proudly tells her father that her new friends are amazing people. She asks if there are lots of big and wonderful shops in the city. Eugene tells a blushing Tokia this is a good chance to learn about humans. Tokia politely asks Linus if he would be willing to give them a tour. He explains that they were coincidentally on their way to Vistas anyway. Linus looks at them, his expression blank for a moment. He then breaks into a wide, delighted grin, saying he would be overjoyed to help. He gestures towards his carriage, but Tokia stops him, saying there is one last thing. Tokia's expression becomes serious as he turns his attention to their small companions. He looks at the gathered slimes, telling them that this is where they must part ways. Shirayuki is sad, but Eugene reminds her they can't bring demonic beasts into a city. Tokia apologizes to the slimes for getting them involved in his selfish quest. He places a hand over one, casting a spell to release his magical bond. A soft, magical light envelops the slimes as they are freed from his command. The slimes jiggle with question marks, confused by this sudden change. Tokia stands alone watching a group of slimes happily hopping away into the grass. The small gelatinous slimes bounce together, one letting out a soft, cheerful pop. Tokia watches them go, a look of quiet confusion on his face. Eugene smiles, remarking that the slimes seem to have grown quite fond of him. Tokia asks why, confused since the effect of his subordination magic has worn off. The slimes continue to bounce and jiggle happily near Scarlet and Shirayuki. As the trio looks on, Eugene comments that the creatures must have had fun. Shirayuki beams, declaring that Tokia is a good person and the slimes knew it. Tokia asks if that's all, and Eugene confirms that such kindness is what's truly important. Tokia clenches his fist, the simple truth of their words hitting him. A gentle, understanding smile spreads across his face as he accepts their kindness. Scarlet suddenly runs up to him, affectionately calling him her big brother. She beams, declaring that she will teach him everything there is to know about the city. Startled by her enthusiasm, Tokia calls for her to wait as she grabs his hand. Scarlet enthusiastically pulls a surprised Tokia towards the waiting Ainsworth carriage. Eugene and Shirayuki watch with amusement as the two children run off together. From the carriage, they can see the slimes still bouncing a final farewell. The heavy carriage wheel turns, beginning their journey to the great city of Vistas. Inside the carriage, Linus Ainsworth announces that they have arrived at their destination. He smiles warmly, telling them that this is their city. Tokia sits at the edge of the covered wagon, peering out in eager anticipation. His foot, clad in a new boot, touches the paved stone of a new world. He looks up, his eyes wide with wonder and a blush of excitement on his cheeks. He marvels at the sight of Vistas, a bustling street from another world. Overwhelmed by the sights and sounds, he can only whisper how amazing it is. Linus proudly explains that this is Vistas, the city of guilds and commerce. He adds that it is the most vibrant city in the Eastern Elrode Kingdom. A stylish boot steps firmly onto the cobblestone street. Shirayuki is ecstatic about the lively scene, while Eugene mutters that he can't find any peace. Linus turns to Tokia, asking if this is his first time in a human settlement. Tokia insists on using formal language, noting that Linus is his elder. Linus chuckles kindly, telling the boy to relax and accept his hospitality. Tokia smiles gratefully, thanking him for his incredible kindness. Shirayuki's attention is immediately drawn to a street vendor grilling meat skewers. She eagerly asks Scarlet what the delicious-smelling food is. Scarlet takes her hand, excited to explain the local delicacy to her new friend. She describes the kubagalu skewers, spiced meat that is incredibly delicious. Shirayuki's mouth waters instantly, her cat-like instincts taking over completely. She tells the vendor's wife she wants to eat, declaring she can handle 10 of them. The woman places her order for 10 skewers, which cost 1 large copper coin. Shirayuki holds the massive skewer, her eyes wide with pure delight. She takes a huge, satisfying bite of the sizzling grilled meat. With stars in her eyes, she exclaims how incredibly delicious it is. The mention of a large copper coin makes Tokia ask about the local currency. Linus explains the monetary system, from copper and silver up to large gold coins. Tokia clutches his small pouch, realizing with a jolt that he is completely penniless. He wonders if he could ask Linus for some work to earn money. A voice calls out to him from behind, interrupting his thoughts. Isaac approaches, telling Tokia that he has been far too careless. Tokia looks back, confused by the sudden and serious warning. Isaac points to his single pouch, saying it's an easy target for thieves. Scarlet interjects, explaining that he uses spatial magic for his important items. Tokia laughs nervously, saying no one would target a child's luggage. He thinks he bluffed well. but Isaac sees right through his act. Isaac reveals his unique skill has calculated a high probability of being robbed. He explains his probability calculation skill can predict various outcomes. The numbers show that Tokia is almost certain to be pickpocketed. Tokia's eyes widen, shocked by the specific and dire prediction. Isaac admits he doesn't know what's being targeted, just that it will happen. Tokia asks if this is a unique skill, recalling what he read in the library. He remembers Yun explaining they are rare, powerful, and suddenly acquired skills. Isaac confirms that Tokia's own time magic is one such skill. Tokia grabs his arm, amazed that Isaac can do something so incredible. Isaac looks away, flustered by Tokia's praise, thinking it's cool. He mutters that it's nothing special, trying to downplay his powerful ability. A large man with a ponytail roughly bumps into Tokia from behind. Tokia stumbles forward from the force of the unexpected impact. Isaac quickly catches him, steadying him from the fall. The man quickly disappears into the anonymous crowd. Tokia clutches Isaac's arm, realizing something is wrong. Isaac asks with genuine concern if Tokia is all right. Tokia frantically checks his hip, his face filled with panic. Isaac's eyes narrow as he realizes his prediction has come true. He shouts to his father that Tokia's luggage has been stolen. Linus is enraged, declaring he will call the city guard immediately. Eugene smirks, telling them not to worry, that it's all fine. Isaac and Tokia look at him, confused by his calm demeanor. Tokia's expression hardens as he unleashes his time magic, commanding, "Rewind." Far away in an alley, the thief is startled by a strange sound. He stares in disbelief as the stolen pouch floats out of his hands. The pouch hovers in the air, tracing its path back through the crowd. It lands perfectly back in Tokia's waiting, gloved hands. Tokia holds the returned pouch as Eugene asks, "See?" Isaac is left utterly speechless by the incredible display of power. The thief runs back, sweating and panicked by the impossible event. Linus furiously accuses the man of trying to rob his daughter's savior. The thief gets in Tokia's face, demanding to know why he stole his luggage. Tokia points out that the pouch has returned, so he must be the thief. The man leans in close, a sly, familiar grin on his face. His whisper about today's training triggers a sudden realization in Tokia. He recalls Eugene's challenge to land a single blow on him during training. He remembers approaching the massive dark dragon in the forest. The dragon had appeared to be sleeping, a deceptive and alluring calm. Tokia had watched him from behind a tree, looking for an opening. He had crept closer, stick in hand, thinking the dragon was vulnerable. He thought he could attack the sleeping dragon, though he disliked the idea. He raised his stick, preparing to strike the beast's massive form. The stick came down with all his might towards the dragon's back. But he hesitated, dropping the stick and lying down on the ground instead. Eugene's tail had lashed out instantly, teaching him a harsh lesson about vigilance. Eugene's dragon form loomed over defeated Tokia, giving a harsh lesson. He warned that an opponent's weakness is always a calculated trap. Tokia realized the truth. A foe always hides something in your blind spot. Back in the present, Tokia shouted Eugene's name in sudden, panicked understanding. Isaac, standing beside him, jumped in surprise at the sudden outburst. Eugene, now in human form, held the bald thug, saying he picked the wrong target. He maintained a firm grip on the man's arm, playing his part. Linus Ainsworth watched the scene, still flustered from the chaos. Isaac, however, seemed to grasp the full extent of the deception. Eugene explained that the first man was merely a diversion. The real goal was to distract them while he stole the wallet. The two thieves were dismissed and began to walk away from the crowd. Linus sternly told them they had nowhere to run, believing the ruse. The bald man, however, gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with true rage. He lunged back with a dagger, snarling that he would take the brat hostage. Tokia's eyes widened in horror at the sudden, very real attack. As Isaac cried out a warning, Tokia instinctively pushed him to safety. Isaac watched in terror, the dagger's blade flashing towards them. The thug sneered, angered by the unexpected interference with his plan. Tokia knew he could handle himself, but he refused to let Isaac get hurt. A new voice calmly told the adult not to get worked up over a child. A second dagger flew through the air, deflecting the thug's blade with a clang. A confident man, Daryl Gordy, had arrived, whom the thug recognized in fear. The thug stared at his now empty hand, completely stunned. Daryl smirked, saying he was honored that even villains knew his name. With lightning speed, Daryl delivered a sharp chop to the man's neck. The thug crumpled instantly, knocked unconscious before he hit the ground. Daryl deftly caught the falling dagger before it could clatter on the stones. He told the unconscious man to sleep until the authorities came for him. Isaac was left speechless, his mouth agape at the swift takedown. Daryl knelt beside Isaac, asking if he was all right. Isaac stammered his thanks. Tokia rushed to Isaac's side, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. He asked his friend why he hadn't run from the danger. Isaac claimed it was a calculated risk, not an act of bravery. Tokia, however, could see the genuine concern in his friend's eyes. He gently told Isaac that his chance of injury was zero with him there. He smiled, sincerely thanking Isaac for worrying about him. Isaac turned away, unable to hide the faint blush on his cheeks. Linus hurried over, thanking Daryl, while Eugene muttered they didn't need help. A close-up showed Eugene's eye, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Daryl turned his attention to the mysterious trio, asking who they were. Linus proudly explained that they were the ones who had saved Scarlet. Daryl's interest was piqued, and he asked for more details about them. He guessed they were Tokia's attendants, surprising the young boy. Shirayuki retorted that she was about to protect Tokia herself. Daryl wondered how such powerful people could be unknown, as Tokia spoke up. Tokia looked up at the man and asked who he was. Daryl proudly introduced himself as the super-strong adventurer, Daryl Gordy. He explained that he was Linus's former bodyguard and an adventurer. He began to tell the history of adventurers from hundreds of years ago. They were pioneers who undertook quests from nobles and the state. Nowadays, he admitted, it was more like slightly dangerous day labor. Tokia listened, completely captivated by the man's profession. A montage recalled the chaos of the day's events. Tokia's narration explained they were now going to the Adventurers Guild. He mused that he wanted to learn more about this new world. More than anything, he felt a powerful admiration for adventurers. At the guild, Linus told Daryl that Tokia would be a great asset. He praised Tokia as a one-of-a-kind dragon-slaying adventurer. Tokia was shocked, exclaiming that he had done it all by himself. Daryl laughed, dismissing it as just a small baby dragon. Eugene glared, reminding him that a dragon is still a dragon. He added that a human-sized adult dragon likely didn't even exist. Tokia remembered using his appraisal skill on their new acquaintance. He had seen Daryl's incredible strength and high-ranking combat skills. He knew for certain that Daryl was an extremely powerful individual. Gathering his courage, Tokia asked if he too could become an adventurer. Daryl's gaze sharpened as he seriously considered the boy's earnest question. He told Tokia that he certainly looked strong enough for the job, but he warned him that it was a serious profession where you bet your life. He explained that beginners start at copper rank with simple, childlike quests. Tokia asked about the ranks, and Daryl explained the adventurer system. With enough achievements, one could rise to silver and then to gold rank. The gold rank medallion on Daryl's necklace glinted in the light. They continued their walk through the bustling streets of Vistas. Daryl stopped, announcing that they had arrived at their destination. He gestured to a grand building, telling Tokia this was the Adventurers Guild. Tokia gasped, his face flushing with pure, unadulterated excitement. Before them stood the guild, a magnificent building that resembled a grand cathedral. Daryl and Eugene admired the structure, noting it was the city's central hub. Daryl grinned, telling Tokia the inside was even more surprising. Tokia's eyes sparkled with wonder as they stepped through the entrance. The main hall was vast and sunlit, with a massive pipe organ dominating one wall. Inside, adventurers sat at tables, counting their hard-earned coins. Others were lined up at the reception desk, turning in completed quests. A large board was covered in notices, detailing available jobs for guild members. Linus explained to a wide-eyed Tokia that all guild business happened here. Daryl encouraged Tokia, saying it was time to get him registered. Tokia's face was a perfect picture of a dream about to come true. Daryl asked why Tokia was getting so much attention from everyone. He grinned, asking if the boy wanted to try becoming an adventurer. Tokia trembled, overwhelmed with emotion at the incredible opportunity. He bowed deeply to the receptionist, formally requesting to be registered. The receptionist smiled warmly, asking him to place his hand on a device. On her desk sat a flat, rectangular artifact covered in glowing text. Linus explained it was a status board that would register Tokia's information. Tokia marveled at the existence of such an amazing magical item. Linus told him it was a technology from the time of the Three-Race War. The board was just one of many advancements from that era. Daryl clapped Tokia's shoulder, telling him to hurry up and get registered. At the Adventurers Guild, Tokia nervously prepares to register his status. A sudden realization dawns on him. The board will read his hidden skills. He thinks back to the immense power the goddess bestowed upon him. As his hand touches the artifact, a blinding vortex of magical text erupts. The board displays an impossibly long list of god-tier skills and stats. Linus and Daryl stare in stunned silence, sweating at the impossible display. Daryl is completely flabbergasted, his face a mask of pure shock. He yells, questioning how a small boy could possess 200 million magic power. Tokia, blushing furiously, can only stammer out an incoherent explanation. Eugene calmly steps in, asking them what nonsense they are talking about. He tells them to look closer, insisting they are just ordinary skills. Confused, Linus and Daryl turn their attention back to the status board. The display has now changed to a much more modest list of abilities. Linus agrees they seem normal, though still quite impressive for a boy. A faint magical shimmer fades from Eugene's eye, his deception complete. He stands stoically, having used his powerful illusion magic to alter the data. He knows that his magic can rewrite the very information the artifact reads. Tokiya looks up at his friend, amazed by such an incredible display of power. Eugene looks down, his expression serious as he warns Tokiya to be careful. He knows it would be a disaster if humans learned of his true nature. A flashback shows Tokiya's peaceful, happy life in his previous world. Another image recalls the brutal, chaotic battlefields of the three-race war. A final memory shows the thief in the market, a reminder of worldly dangers. Tokiya nods in quiet understanding, his simple shoes a symbol of his journey. The doctored information is officially recorded into the guild's documents. The smiling receptionist announces his adventurer registration is now complete. She advises him that he can start taking quests tomorrow and to be careful. That evening, they return to the grand and beautiful Ainsworth family estate. Scarlett and her mother share a laugh during a joyous and lavish dinner. Tokiya and Shirayuki happily enjoy the feast, a moment of peace and fun. Later, an exhausted Tokiya falls asleep using Shirayuki's mane as a pillow. The next morning, the guild receptionist greets him, ready with new quests. She presents him with a list of the jobs available for him today. The imposing facade of the Adventurers Guild looms in the background. Tokiya looks down at the list of requests with a curious expression. The jobs are all simple chores: mansion cleaning, helping out, carrying luggage. Daryl explains that this is what typical copper rank requests are like. He adds that they won't let a child take on dangerous monster-slaying jobs. Tokiya looks down at the list, his expression hardening with determination. He pulls a slip from the board, declaring that he will take the request. A montage shows him diligently cleaning a dusty and dilapidated warehouse. He easily carries a huge stack of grain, much to a farmer's amazement. He polishes an old grandfather clock, earning an elderly woman's gratitude. He cheerfully scrubs the floor of what appears to be a large stable. He completes many requests, his stamped guild papers quickly piling up. After a week of hard work, he is a familiar sight at the guild. Isaac arrives at the guild hall, his expression serious as he looks around. Other adventurers gossip about the new kid who works like a tireless machine. Tokiya turns, surprised to hear Isaac calling out his name. He greets Isaac happily, glad that his friend has come to visit him. Isaac explains that Tokiya's hard work has made him the talk of the guild. Tokiya smiles, thinking it's a good thing, as he's just doing normal jobs. Daryl clarifies that his work ethic is far beyond a normal copper rank adventurer. He notes that Tokiya might soon reach silver or even gold rank. Tokiya looks concerned, realizing he is attracting unwanted attention. Isaac looks at him with an intense, analytical gaze full of questions. In a dark, abstract panel, Isaac poses the question, "Who exactly are you?" The receptionist calls out, asking about today's request and mentioning a nominated one. Tokiya is shocked and delighted to hear he has a personal request. He looks at the request form, which simply reads, "Moving a plant." Daryl immediately grabs his shoulder, telling him to leave that one alone. Isaac warns him that the client, an elf named Naku, is an eccentric. He explains that the elf lives on the outskirts of vistas and is strange. Tokiya's eyes light up with excitement at the mention of an elf. His face flushes as he declares that he absolutely has to meet him. Daryl is slightly bewildered by Tokiya's sudden, intense enthusiasm. He smirks, recalling his own strange encounter with the reclusive elf. Tokiya, embarrassed by his outburst, apologizes for his excitement. Daryl winks, telling him not to worry and that he has a good expression. He recalls that when he met the elf, he had a very clear, determined look. Tokiya blushes at the compliment, thinking he's being seen as a good kid. Daryl warns that in his opinion, the request is going to be a huge pain. He asks Tokiya if he is still okay with taking such a troublesome job. Tokiya clenches his fist, his resolve firm and unwavering. The group travels out of the city under a clear sky dotted with clouds. Isaac confirms their destination for the moving a plant request. They are confronted by a colossal sunflower, making them scream at its sheer size. A cheerful, dark-skinned elf greets them, surprised that an adventurer has come. He introduces himself as Naku, the client who made the odd request. He laughs, complaining that recent adventurers have been too heartless to help. He explains that for a while, no one would come to help him at all. He points to the plant, explaining the job is to move his house from under it. Tokia stares, amazed that a plant could possibly grow to such a size. Naku sheepishly admits it wasn't natural and that he gave it a little help. Daryl glares at him, demanding to know what kind of help he gave it. Naku explains he bought a foreign strengthening potion and gave it to the plant. Isaac is shocked to hear that a powerful strengthening potion was used. Daryl yells at Naku for making such a huge problem a copper rank request. Naku explains that if higher-ranked adventurers saw it, they would destroy the plant. The trio stands in stunned, faceless silence at the impossible situation. Daryl, off-panel, asks if Naku really expects them to do this. Naku pleads with them to move his beloved sunflower while she is still alive. The trio sweats profusely, the immense weight of the request sinking in. Daryl turns to leave, telling Tokia and Isaac that he is going back. Naku begs him to wait, pleading for him to save the life of an elf. Daryl, his face grim, tells him not to be ridiculous and that he is reporting this to the guild. He entrusts Tokia's care to Isaac, who quietly agrees to the task. Hearing this, Naku collapses onto the porch in utter despair. Isaac explains that he has already calculated the probability of success. The chance of moving the plant without harming it is 0. They should give up. Naku hangs his head, whispering a sad apology to his beloved sunflower. He clenches his fist tightly in his lap, overcome with regret and despair. Tokia watches the elf, his own expression filled with empathy and concern. He gently calls out to Naku, asking him why he is so upset. Naku begins to tell his sad story, his face partially obscured by shadow. He explains that the flower was a precious gift from a kind benefactor. Recalling the past, he remembers giving the weak plant a strengthening potion. The giant flower is a constant reminder that its state is his fault. Tokia listens intently, his eyes reflecting a deep understanding of the elf's pain. He turns to Isaac, asking if they can speak for a moment in private. The two boys stand in a quiet clearing beneath a bright, cloudy sky. Tokia asks Isaac if he is aware of his unique time magic ability. Isaac confirms he saw it on his status, calling it a unique skill. With a look of intense focus, Tokia prepares to show his true power. He spots a single withered weed sprouting from the grassy earth nearby. He raises his gloved hand over the small, dying plant with purpose. A surge of magic instantly restores the weed to a vibrant, blooming flower. Isaac stares in utter disbelief, letting out a choked gasp of pure shock. Tokia explains that this is his skill, the ability to manipulate time itself. He declares this is the only way he can save Naku's beloved sunflower. He reminds Isaac of the thief, how he rewound time for the stolen bag. Tokia looks at his friend seriously, asking for his promise of secrecy. Isaac finally understands why Tokia has been so guarded about his power. He realizes this is more than a skill, it's a power of the gods. With a warm, genuine smile, Isaac promises to keep his friend's secret. Tokia beams, his face filled with relief as he thanks his new ally. Their pact sealed, Tokia prepares to present his impossible plan to Naku. He approaches the elf, who looks up from his despair with surprise. Tokia asks Naku if he can try using his unique skill on Sunflower. The elf is stunned, asking if a skill can truly save his plant. Tokia explains it is a special power and asks for his absolute secrecy. Naku readily agrees, saying he is the one making an impossible request. Stepping back into the clearing, Tokia announces that he is ready to begin. He raises his hand toward the giant sunflower and cries out, "Rewind!" The colossal plant is immediately engulfed in a wave of temporal energy. Its massive stalk and leaves begin to tremble and shrink before their eyes. Naku stares, flabbergasted, exclaiming that what he's seeing is a lie. He watches as Sunflower's enormous form rapidly de-ages and reverses its growth. The plant continues to get smaller and smaller with astonishing speed. In a flash of light, only a small potted sunflower remains on the porch. Isaac steps beside the stunned Naku, ready to explain what just happened. He provides the cover story. It's a skill that manipulates plant growth. He tells Naku that he can help him properly raise the plant now. Isaac assures him that with his knowledge, they can surely manage it. Overjoyed, Naku tearfully thanks Isaac, vowing to make his little one big. He admits he never thought he would see Sunflower in this form again. Tokia kindly offers to grow the plant a little bigger if he'd like. Naku smiles gently at the flower, saying that this is perfectly fine. He explains Sunflower always had the innate power to grow large on her own. With renewed hope, he declares he will believe in her and raise her patiently. Tokia watches the heartwarming scene, his expression soft and thoughtful. Naku enthusiastically insists that Tokia take the quest reward money. He asks if he can offer another reward, something special as well. He presents a rare Dragon's Bane herb, explaining its incredible properties. Isaac skeptically notes it must be a rare import, which Naku denies. Waving goodbye, Naku thanks them and promises to hire them again soon. Tokia and Isaac walk away from the cottage, their impossible quest complete. Isaac offers to explain the situation to Daryl, creating a plausible story. Tokia is lost in thought for a moment, and Isaac calls out his name. Isaac begins to explain his admiration for Naku's newfound belief in Sunflow. He was thinking about how wonderful it was that Naku had such faith. He turns to Tokia, reminding him that he trusted him with his secret. He knew Isaac wouldn't leak the information about his powerful time magic. Isaac says he feels the same way. He trusts Tokia completely as well. Tokia blushes, feeling a bit conceited but deeply touched by the sentiment. He thanks Isaac, who replies that he feels the same gratitude. The scene shifts back to the bustling city streets of Vistas. Tokia and Isaac return to the Ainsworth estate, looking for their friends. They find Eugene pacing anxiously, a worried look on his face. Tokia calls out to him, asking what's wrong, which startles Isaac. Eugene looks flustered, struggling to find the right words to explain. He finally admits that Shirayuki and Scarlet have completely disappeared. Tokia is shocked, learning they ran off to play and never came back. Isaac looks down, a dawning realization on his face as he thinks. Tokia asks if he has any idea where the two of them might be. Isaac points to a fenced-off tunnel, suggesting the underground passage. A close-up shows the dark, foreboding entrance to the sewer tunnel. Tokia's eyes widen in horror, a bead of sweat on his face. Isaac explains it's a passage created during the brutal three-race war. The place was used for dangerous experiments and is now a restricted area. He recalls that Scarlet once mentioned having a secret base there. He remembers her leading him to the entrance on a previous occasion. Tokia remembers trying to stop her from going there, but failing to convince her. He calls out to Eugene, who tells him to leave this to him. Eugene orders Isaac to guard the entrance while he goes in with Tokia. Tokia climbs onto Eugene's back as he transforms into his dragon form. Flying deep into the tunnel, Tokia notes how much it resembles a maze. His eyes widen in surprise as he finally spots the two girls ahead. He calls out to Shirayuki and Scarlet, who are busy drawing on the walls. Shirayuki turns, surprised to see Tokia, asking how he found them. Tokia lands, telling her that's his line, as Scarlet happily greets him. Scarlet excitedly explains this is her secret base she wanted to show Shirayuki. Eugene, now in human form, growls at the brats, furious about their carelessness. From the end of the tunnel, he shouts that he was worried sick. Tokia rushes forward, yelling that they are idiots for making him worry so much. He explains that it's not just her parents. He and his friends worry too. Scarlet and Shirayuki are taken aback by the intensity of his outburst. Scarlet's eyes fill with tears as she meekly apologizes for her actions. Tokia immediately softens, waving his hands and saying he isn't angry. He trails off, his attention suddenly caught by something strange in the cave. Deep in a forgotten passage, Tokia watches a strange light streak through the darkness. The light slams into a far wall, cracking the stone. Tokia wonders what it is. He flinches back as the impact sends a tremor through the cavern floor. With a deafening groan, the ancient stone wall splits wide open. Inside the hidden chamber sits an ornate sphere. Tokia questions if it's just a ball. Eugene senses a foul presence, while Shirayuki asks what has just happened. Tokia's eyes narrow in focus as he decides to use his appraisal skill. His vision is overlaid with a grid of light, scanning the mysterious object. The intricate patterns of the sphere are analyzed by his powerful magic. Eugene and Shirayuki are stunned into silence by what the appraisal reveals. Shirayuki quickly pulls a curious Scarlet away from the potential danger. Tokia stares in horror, a cold sweat on his brow as he understands the truth. He identifies the object as a magical tool, a relic from a bygone era. It is a weapon powerful enough to destroy the entire city of Vistas. The image of the peaceful, bustling city flashes through his mind. At the Adventurers Guild, a man asks if his friend has heard the news. Adventurers gossip about a dangerous magical tool from the Great War found underground. Eugene grimly suggests that it might be best for them to flee Vistas soon. Isaac confirms the rumor is all over the guild, and Eugene warns a panic is coming. Tokia laments that a terrifying magical tool lies dormant right beneath their city. He recalls the events that followed their horrifying discovery. First, he immediately went to report the situation to Linus Ainsworth. Linus, understanding the gravity, left at once to inform the city officials. Eugene watches the proceedings with a serious, calculating expression. Tokia turns to him, desperately asking if the tool can be neutralized. Eugene theorizes that water or ice magic might counteract its fire core. He concludes, however, that it is unfortunately unlikely to work. Suddenly, Daryl Gordy bursts in, and Tokia calls out his name in surprise. Daryl explains that he has just returned from having an expert appraise it. His face is grim as he confirms it's a firebomb that would easily destroy vistas. He adds that the device is protected by a massive amount of defensive magic. Worse, its internal structure is so fragile that moving it from its supports will set it off. Eugene agrees, noting that any attempt to counter magic would endanger the city. Tokia realizes his time magic can't erase an explosion of that scale. Isaac explains it was likely made by extremists during the Great War. He concludes that neutralizing it with current technology is impossible. Daryl informs them that the guild's vice representative is currently reporting the situation. At the guild hall, the receptionist is on the phone with the capital. She tells someone she is awaiting a response from the higher-ups. Daryl anxiously wonders if they can somehow find people who can handle it. Tokia looks on, his face etched with worry for the city. Eugene's expression is grim as he wonders what the outcome will be. A heavy silence falls over the grand hall of the Adventurers Guild. The receptionist gasps in horror, asking what will become of the city. She panics, realizing the city and its people are doomed, and the line has gone dead. Her voice is a faint plea as she begs the person on the other end to wait. Daryl rushes to her side, demanding to know what happened. She relays the new orders. She delivers the death sentence. Evacuate the city in 1 week, then activate the tool. Daryl is enraged, yelling that this means the city is lost. She confirms it's a total write-off. She despairs that the guild, the shops, the stalls, everything will be gone. Tokia and Eugene can only stare, stunned by the horrifying command. Daryl's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated fury and helplessness. He orders her to try the representative again, but to begin the evacuation immediately. He takes command, declaring the guild will prioritize helping the women and elderly. Shirayuki asks Eugene if there is anything at all they can do to help. Eugene vows they will do anything for Tokia, but admits this time will be difficult. Tokia recalls Daryl saying even touching the bomb is dangerous. He clenches his fist, refusing to accept the city's grim fate. He turns to his friends and makes a bold declaration, "Let's move it." He repeats his insane proposal. They will move the magical tool outside. He explains he can use his time magic to briefly stop the shockwaves. In that window, they can move it somewhere safe before it detonates. Daryl dismisses the idea, telling Tokia this is no time for jokes. He asks if Tokia understands that one mistake would erase all of Vistas. Tokia insists there must be a way, that giving up is not an option. Daryl shouts that this isn't a problem a child's idea can solve. He cries out that Vistas is his home, and he has to do something. He grabs his head in utter frustration, admitting he is at a loss. A new voice enters the hall, asking Daryl what he thinks of the boy's idea. Daryl is shocked to see the powerful merchant, Linus Ainsworth, has arrived. Linus calmly asks his son for the probability of the city surviving unharmed. Isaac, flustered, quickly begins to run the calculations in his head. A faint, glowing number appears in his mind, a grim 2%. An adventurer remarks that 2% is better than nothing if they pool their wisdom. Tokia looks on, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. But then a new, more hopeful number flashes in Isaac's mind, 80%. Linus's voice booms. If the success rate is over 80%, they will do it. He pledges the entire might of the Ainsworth Trading Company to their cause. Tokia is stunned by this incredible declaration of support. Daryl confronts his friend, asking if he has lost his mind. Linus confirms he is serious. Linus admits he's betting on Tokia's ability, even if the plan is just a theory. He pauses for a moment, recalling something important. He remembers the unwavering determination he saw in Tokia's expression. He thinks of the sheer conviction shining in the boy's eyes. Daryl admits he would rather bet on those eyes than watch his city die. Linus smiles, saying that is all the reason he needs. The two old friends share a fist bump, united in their desperate gamble. Isaac rushes to Tokia's side, pledging his full cooperation as well. He promises to reach out to his contacts at the prestigious Magic Academy. He tells Tokia that he trusts him completely, because Tokia first trusted him. He smiles warmly, asking his friend to believe in him in return. Linus looks on proudly as the city's best and brightest rally together. Tokia's face is a mask of resolve. He will absolutely protect them all. With tears in his eyes, he thanks everyone and vows to save the city. The first day of planning is a frantic storm of research and debate. They discuss the logistics of moving the bomb, worried that friction might set it off. Isaac works through complex equations, trying to find a viable solution. He concludes that moving it is theoretically possible, much to his own surprise. A young woman steps forward, declaring that she has an idea to make it a reality. The team continues their intense strategy session, united in their impossible mission. On the second day of the crisis, a door bursts open dramatically. The guild receptionist arrives, flanked by officials, pleading to help Tokia. She passionately declares they cannot stand by and watch their city be destroyed. She will submit a formal request to the city government, offering their full support. Tokia is confused, questioning her decision after the capital's representative abandoned them. A hand firmly grasps the receiver of a classic telephone. She clarifies that her words were a direct reply from their own city's representative. A flashback reveals a man being told that aid is already rushing from the south. She tells Linus that the guild has its own pride and won't be shamed into inaction. Isaac and Tokia share a look of mutual surprise and dawning hope. Tokia gratefully thanks the vice representative Isaac for his crucial help. The third day dawns, bringing with it a new wave of allies. The adventurer Daryl Gordy arrives, announcing that he and his men will cooperate. Tokia's face lights up with pure joy as he calls out Daryl's name. Eugene skeptically questions if they are truly committed to this impossible plan. Daryl confesses that at first he had considered their entire plan completely foolish. But seeing their unwavering determination made him believe it might actually be possible. He formally retracts his earlier doubts, asking to lend his strength to their cause. Tokia offers a grateful, blushing wink, deeply touched by their unexpected support. Isaac explains the complex magical and physical equations of their plan to the adventurers. The receptionist coordinates the massive citywide effort over the telephone. Crumpled papers and complex diagrams show the frantic, sleepless nights spent planning. With a final, decisive breakthrough, the plan is ready to be executed. The team stands ready as a voice asks if everyone is prepared for what's to come. Isaac and Scarlet watch, their focus on the dangerous, magical tool. The receptionist proudly gives their desperate mission its official name, Pitgola Operation. Daryl and Linus observe the proceedings with expressions of grim, unwavering resolve. Tokia declares the operation will commence, confident in their calculated 80% success rate. The ambitious operation to save the entire city is now officially underway. Tokia announces the final objective, the safe disposal of the magical tool. He stresses that their absolute top priority is ensuring not a single person gets injured. As the sun rises, the command is given for everyone to begin the operation. The team descends into the dark, foreboding entrance of the city's sewer system. They stand before the massive, ominous, magical sphere resting on its support pillars. The device's critical weakness is explained. It is extremely sensitive to vibrations. Tokia notes that even the slightest, most careful movement could cause it to activate. He reveals his plan. He will use his time magic, stasis, to freeze it in time. He reassures everyone and himself that with his power, the plan will be all right. Kneeling before the bomb, he gives a signal for the adventurers to begin dismantling. Two adventurers, chosen for their steady hands, prepare for the delicate task. With incredible care and precision, they begin unbolting the device's support pillars. The supports are removed, and a voice confirms the dismantling is complete. Daryl is stunned it didn't activate, admitting the boy is no ordinary child. Tokia quietly wonders if revealing his powerful secret was truly the right choice. Eugene stands behind him, warning him against revealing the full extent of his abilities. Tokia understands Eugene's worry, his eyes reflecting the weight of his immense power. A montage shows how others would react, trying to exploit his power for their own ends. Isaac tells Tokia he once thought trusting the people of this city was dangerous, but now he wants to use his own power for Vistas and for its people. Tokia looks forward with resolve, stating firmly that he has no regrets. Eugene offers a rare, slight smile of approval at the boy's unwavering conviction. The next step is to cover the bomb with special, shock-absorbing Decabanagusa leaves. Daryl comments to Naku, surprised that the elf's strange plant is proving so useful. Naku smiles, happy that his plant can be used to protect everyone in the city. As they wrap the bomb, one man nervously worries that it will still activate. An adventurer confirms that the dangerous magical device is now completely wrapped. The team works together, securing the final layers of the protective leaves. Suddenly, the wall explodes as Eugene reveals his massive, awe-inspiring dragon form. Naku and another adventurer scream in terror at the dragon's sudden appearance. Eugene tells them not to ask questions. This is simply the fastest transport method. Perched on his shoulder, Tokia agrees, and Eugene tells him it's time to go. They rocket upwards through a long, dark tunnel, racing toward the light. The rough stone walls of the ancient sewer tunnel blur past them in an instant. With a powerful burst of speed, Eugene breaks through to the surface. They emerge from the darkness of the underground into the bright light of day. Eugene soars over vistas, carrying the bomb as the citizens stare up in shock. Isaac yells for them to cast stasis and quickly place the device on the rail. A massive, shimmering ice rail snakes its way through the city streets. The bomb is placed on the ice rail, ready for its perilous journey. Shirayuki proudly explains her perfectly calculated, sun-proof ice slide is ready. The guild had negotiated with landowners to temporarily secure the path for the rail. The Ainsworth Company even purchased and demolished buildings to clear the way. Tokia urgently calls out Isaac's name, sensing a change in the situation. Isaac calculates a 3% activation rate, urging him to act immediately. Tokia's eyes narrow with intense, unwavering focus for the final, crucial push. With a flick of his wrist, he commands the release of his stasis spell. He gives the massive leaf-wrapped sphere a final push down the ice ramp. The bomb slides silently and smoothly down the glistening, magical ice rail. An adventurer cheers in relief. The bomb is moving, and it hasn't activated. Eugene growls a warning not to relax, as the real fight is only just beginning. Shirayuki asks if he's okay, and he admits with a smile he's just a little tired. Internally, he admits using stasis twice has drained him far more than he expected. The team begins the arduous task of pushing the bomb along the ice rail. Daryl leads the team of strong adventurers, providing the necessary brute force. His team of strong-armed adventurers puts their backs into the monumental effort. Tokia explains that he and Isaac will follow closely behind the bomb. Shirayuki's task is to constantly check and repair the ice rail for cracks. Isaac's job is to continuously calculate the probability of the bomb's stability. Tokia looks on, his face tense with the strain of his immense responsibility. He must apply his stasis magic to any unstable areas Isaac identifies. The bomb continues its perilous journey along the shimmering ice path. They push on, the long and winding path stretching endlessly before them. The team presses forward, their progress through the city slow but steady. Tokia pants heavily, sweat beading on his forehead from the constant effort. They finally clear the city walls, reaching the foreboding edge of the forest. Daryl announces that from this point forward, the true deadly challenge begins. He explains the bomb's magic will attract hordes of dangerous demonic beasts. They will need a small, elite team to fend them off and protect the bomb. He thanks the other adventurers for their help and tells them to wait in vistas. Scarlet looks up at her brother Isaac, her voice a worried whisper. Holly Ainsworth looks at her son, her expression soft as she speaks his name. She pulls the young Isaac into a warm, comforting motherly embrace. Pressed against her, Isaac whispers an apology for the burden he is placing on her. He admits that he is scared, but this is a path he has chosen for himself. Facing his family, he tells them with resolve to wait for his return in vistas. Daryl Gordy makes a solemn vow to protect Isaac and the others with his life. Linus Ainsworth gives a quiet, firm nod, accepting the adventurer's promise. As they leave, Linus calls out to Isaac, Daryl, and Tokia one last time. He reassures them that he will be waiting for their safe return in vistas. Tokia, Shirayuki, and Eugene watch the emotional farewell with serious expressions. The leaf-wrapped bomb is ready. The final stage of the Pit Gola operation begins. The small elite team escorts the dangerous cargo along the shimmering ice rail. Daryl issues orders, declaring that he and his men will push the device. A mage named Monsoon agrees to cast a friction-reducing spell to ease their path. Daryl tasks Isaac and Tokia with monitoring the bomb's stability using their skills. Shirayuki understands her crucial role is to continually repair the fragile ice rail. Eugene accepts his duty as their guard, ready to fend off any demonic beasts. The shimmering ice path snakes its way deeper into the darkening forest. They finally arrive at their destination, the ominous demon beast graveyard. The bomb's immense magical power begins to stir the depths of the swamp. Daryl recalls the grim tales of this place, admitting he still feels uneasy. Isaac explains that ancient texts describe it as a swamp altered by prototype weapons. The pit swallows all matter, which is why it earned its terrifying name. This area was apparently used for all sorts of horrific experiments during the war. Daryl grimly observes that the scars of the three-race war still linger here. Tokia looks on with a worried expression, feeling the immense weight of their task. Isaac, noticing his friend's fatigue, asks if he can cast stasis again. Tokia, sweating profusely, weakly confirms that he can, but it is taking its toll. Eugene warns him not to push himself, as this is the 7th time he's used stasis. A small, concerned Shirayuki suggests they should rest, thanking them for their efforts. But Tokia grits his teeth, insisting he is fine and can still keep going. He knows everyone is pushing past their limits to ensure the operation succeeds. As twilight descends, he realizes they will not reach the graveyard by evening. A sense of dread fills him. They must reach their destination soon. Eugene's sharp eyes suddenly narrow as he senses an approaching threat. With a low growl, he announces that their uninvited guests have finally arrived. A horrifying horde of demonic beasts burst from the trees, surrounding them. Daryl and Isaac cry out in shock at the overwhelming number of monsters. The beasts snarl, their eyes glowing with malice as they advance on the group. The small team finds themselves completely encircled by the ravenous creatures. The mage confirms the bomb's magic is luring every beast in the forest. Daryl quickly moves to shield Isaac and Tokia, ordering them to stay put. He draws his massive broadsword, its polished blade gleaming in the dim light. He takes a powerful stance, ready to charge into the monstrous horde. With a mighty roar, he vows to cut down any beast that dares to approach. One of his adventurers lets out a war cry, charging forward into the fray. The mage unleashes her own spells, intricate magic circles glowing around her. An adventurer bravely intercepts a massive clawed paw with his armored arm. Daryl calls out for Eugene, needing the dragon's overwhelming power on the field. A massive explosion of black flame erupts from Eugene in his dragon form. The dragon bellows at Daryl to focus on his own immediate surroundings. The situation is precarious. One wrong move means the end for everyone. Tokia remembers the 80% success rate, knowing now it was purely theoretical. He steels his resolve, knowing he cannot allow this operation to fail. The immense pressure of the situation is pushing him to his breaking point. He flashes back to the worried faces of the people who trusted him. He remembers his friends standing around the planning table, believing in him. He recalls Linus Ainsworth betting the entire city on his desperate plan. Back in the present, the adventurers are being overwhelmed by the endless horde. Eugene yells that the monsters are limitless, telling Daryl to fall back. He unleashes another massive torrent of black fire to clear a path. A smaller, faster beast slips past the flames, slamming into the bomb. The bomb is knocked from the rail, tumbling towards the ravine's edge. Tokia desperately casts stasis, his hands glowing with temporal energy. The bomb freezes in time, a monster's claws just inches from its surface. Daryl and Eugene scream at Tokia to get to cover immediately. A massive centipede-like monster slams into the frozen bomb from the side. The second impact knocks the sphere loose, sending it rolling away. A many-eyed beast watches as the bomb careens over the edge of the cliff. The ice rail shatters as the bomb plummets into the deep ravine below. Tokia's face is a mask of pure terror as he watches their hope fall. The leaf-wrapped sphere hurtles unstoppably towards the forest floor. Daryl and Eugene can only watch in stunned, helpless horror. A single thought fills Tokia's mind. He was too slow to stop it. He closes his eyes in despair, bracing for the city-destroying explosion. But the bomb rests safely in the clearing, cushioned and completely intact. Tokia opens his eyes in disbelief, asking if it failed to explode. His expression shifts from terror to utter, wide-eyed confusion. He realizes a massive group of slimes has formed a living cushion beneath it. Shirayuki and Eugene recognize them, exclaiming that they kept their promise. Daryl prepares to fight the new swarm, but Tokia quickly stops him. With a relieved smile, Tokia explains that these slimes are their allies. He recalls his promise to them and how they are now returning the favor. Isaac assesses the new situation. The rail is broken and the risk is high. The protective leaf wrapping around the bomb has also been torn in the chaos. A determined glint appears in Tokia's eye as a new plan takes shape. He turns to Isaac, calling his name with sudden and urgent intensity. He asks for the success rate if they have the slimes carry the bomb. Isaac is stunned by the idea, but quickly runs the new calculation. He stares at his hand, his eyes wide with shock behind his glasses. He holds up a finger, announcing an unbelievable 90% success rate. Tokia commands the slimes to carry the magical device to the swamp. The small, gelatinous creatures immediately swarm around the massive sphere. They lift the bomb with ease and begin bouncing forward toward the goal. Daryl rallies his men, telling them they have to follow the strange procession. The adventurers race after the slimes, their hope miraculously renewed. Isaac pants as he runs, still trying to process the turn of events. They follow the slimes at a desperate pace through the dark forest. At last, they arrive at the edge of the ominous demon beast graveyard. Tokia gives his final order, telling the slimes to throw the bomb in. The bomb is safely cushioned by the brave slimes who answered their friend's call. With grim resolve, Tokia declares it's his turn, unleashing his ultimate spell, endless stasis. Shirayuki receives her orders to freeze the swamp and confirms with a determined, "Yes, sir!" The leaf-wrapped magical tool splashes into the dark, corrupting waters of the graveyard. A massive plume of water erupts as the bomb plunges into the murky pit. Isaac shouts that he is already calculating the safest depth for the bomb to activate. Tokia strains, watching the activation rate climb as he vows to hold the stasis field. The bomb sinks deeper and deeper into the water, a countdown to its final disposal. Bubbles rise from the depths as the ancient weapon settles on the pit's floor. Isaac calls out to Tokia in alarm as the very ground begins to shake. The surface of the pit remains deceptively calm for a brief, tense moment. A deep, groaning rumble emanates from the earth as violent tremors begin. Shiroyuki comforts a terrified adventurer as the world shakes around them. Eugene, in his human form, watches the violent shaking with a grim expression. Daryl and his men roar in alarm as the earth-shattering tremors intensify. Then an abrupt silence falls over the clearing as the shaking finally stops. Tokia, panting and drenched in sweat, realizes with relief that the tremors have ceased. The neutralized bomb is shown, a caption confirming the magical tool has been dealt with. The adventurers erupt in a triumphant cheer, Daryl roaring that they protected vistas. Overjoyed, Daryl shouts the names of his friends, exclaiming that they've done it. He watches in surprise as one of his exhausted comrades suddenly collapses. Daryl rushes to his side, asking with concern if the man is all right. The adventurer groans that he's overused his magic and asks for a ride back. Tokia watches as the other exhausted but victorious adventurers also begin to collapse. Eugene approaches Tokia, asking if he's okay, and the boy gives a weary nod. Eugene tells Tokia to look at the scene of weary but united humans. He explains that it was Tokia who inspired all these people to take action. He continues as saying Tokia has a power greater than time magic or any skill. It is the strength of heart that inspires hope and makes people believe. Eugene's profound words cause Tokia to look on in stunned silence, lost in thought. A memory surfaces, taking him back to his time before the goddess. The goddess's voice echoes, asking him why he feels compelled to help others. Tokia, in his old life suit, stammers for an answer in the ethereal void. He explains that seeing others smile brings him joy, as does their own happiness. The goddess asks if being so kind isn't a burden, which he quickly denies. She looks at him with a gentle, knowing smile, seeing through his facade. He confesses that even when he is kind, he feels unable to earn true trust. A dark, painful memory begins to surface with a sharp, jarring sound. He admits his deepest fear, refusing requests and seeing the disappointment on people's faces. He tearfully confesses that he isn't kind, but cowardly before mentioning his parents. A flashback shows his parents, their faces shadowed, constantly telling him to be kind. He remembers his greatest joys were being praised for giving away his favorite things. He learned to act in ways that would earn the praise and happiness of others. He was always called a good person and a good boy for his selflessness. As an adult, he is seen agreeing to cover a coworker's shift without complaint. He is left alone in the office, a solitary figure defined by his service. The goddess's voice returns, telling him to search for what he wants in his new life. In the present, Tokia reflects on her words, his expression serious and introspective. He realizes that before, he only wanted to live up to the Osa's expectations. He was terrified of betraying anyone's trust and causing them disappointment or sadness. But his time in Vistas, meeting Daryl and Isaac, has changed his perspective. He now understands his true desire, something he never found in his past life. Tears of profound realization stream down his face as he finds his own purpose. He turns to his friends, his back to the viewer, and offers them his heartfelt thanks. The city of Vistas is alive with celebration, its streets adorned with festive banners. A massive, glistening platter of grilled meat is presented as a reward for the heroes. Shiroyuki's eyes sparkle with pure delight as she beholds the mountain of food. With hearts in her eyes, she declares her intention to devour every last piece. A kind waitress encourages her, promising unlimited refills and telling her to eat her fill. Shiroyuki happily asks if there will be cake too, which an adventurer confirms. Daryl challenges Eugene to an arm wrestling match, eager to test his strength. The two powerful adventurers lock hands as the crowd roars with excitement. Onlookers shout out their bets, wagering massive sums on the outcome of the match. Isaac tries to get in on the action, but a guild official reminds him it's forbidden. Linus Ainsworth approaches Tokia, declaring his preserved food a brilliant invention. He explains that freezing food in metal containers is a revolutionary and profitable idea. He offers to fund the venture, giving Tokia a 50% share of the profits. Isaac tells a stunned Tokia not to be naive. His father is a shrewd businessman. He explains his father's creed, one must always pay for things of value. Tokia looks on, flustered and blushing at the incredible business opportunity. The celebration continues, the festive atmosphere filling the streets of Vistas. Colorful banners flutter over the bustling marketplace as the party winds down. Under a wide, bright sky, Tokia begins to say his final goodbyes. He bows deeply, thanking everyone for their incredible kindness and support. A tearful Scarlet asks Shiroyuki if she really has to leave so soon. Shirayuki admits she is sad too, but promises she will return with Tokia. She makes a pinky promise with the little girl, assuring her she never lies. Daryl admits that even he will feel lonely without Eugene around to bother. Eugene smirks, telling Daryl to have enough fun for the both of them. Daryl gloats about winning their match, while Eugene vows he won't lose next time. Tokia turns to say his final farewells to the Ainsworth family. Isaac stands silently beside his parents, his expression unreadable. Tokia looks at Isaac, a bit surprised by his quiet demeanor. Lennis warmly tells Tokia to be sure to visit Vistas again anytime. The trio waves a final, cheerful goodbye to all the humans they've befriended. The crowd of friends they made in Vistas waves back in a heartfelt send-off. The three companions walk away from the city, continuing their journey onward. A voice calls out Tokia's name, causing him to turn his head in surprise. He turns around completely, his expression one of startled confusion. It is Isaac, running to catch up with them, calling out their names. He reaches them, apologizing for stopping them, and asks what this is about. Isaac, his eyes shining with earnestness, asks if he can join their journey. He explains that watching Tokia's courage has inspired him to want to travel too. He wants to experience things he can't learn from books or the Magic Academy. Tokia looks at his friend, moved by his passionate and unexpected request. He smiles warmly and clasps Isaac's hand, telling him of course he can come. Eugene teases Isaac about being lonely, while Shirayuki happily welcomes their new companion. A few months after leaving the sacred village, Tokia reflects on their travels. With a new friend in tow, the party of four walks on, wondering what lies ahead. Elsewhere, a captured man with a beard pleads his innocence, crying that it's a mistake. A knight is arrested, insisting he did not steal the kingdom's national treasure. A shadowed figure coldly gives the order to take the protesting knight away. The knight, Barty, struggles fiercely against his captors, yelling for them to stop. His young daughter, Rain, desperately clutches a guard's leg, calling out for her father. She screams his name in anguish as he is dragged off into the darkness. A year flashes by, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. The party of four arrives, gazing in awe at a magnificent, sprawling city. Isaac identifies their location: Linworm, the grand capital of the Elrode Kingdom. He marvels at the vibrant streets, declaring no other city is quite so lively. Tokia is utterly captivated, his eyes sparkling at the sight of the capital. He recalls that it has been a full year since they left their friends in Vistas. A memory shows the four companions setting out on their journey together. Their adventures included mediating beastman feuds and rescuing a massive aquatic creature. News of their heroic deeds in Vistas had spread far and wide. Shirayuki dashes through the streets, amazed by the sheer scale of the city. Eugene calls out sternly, reminding her not to wander too far from the group. A nearby fruit vendor stumbles, losing his grip on a heavy crate. The crate tips, spilling its contents of fresh oranges all over the street. Tokia calmly raises his hand, casting his time-altering magic on the falling fruit. The oranges halt their descent and float gracefully back up into the crate. The stunned vendor offers his thanks as Tokia gives a cheerful, simple wave. Isaac remarks on how much more skillful Tokia has become with his time magic. Tokia reflects inwardly, acknowledging that his signature power has indeed grown stronger. He thinks about how his Excel and Rewind abilities were honed on their journey. He can now use his powerful Stasis spell up to 10 times each day. Eugene smirks, noting that even the Holy Beast would now recognize his power. Tokia thanks him, but insists he still wants to see more of the world. He looks at the grand city before him, filled with excitement for what's next. Eugene watches his young friend with a look of weary amusement. An old man muses aloud that traveling until you're 100 is a fine future. The sound of an approaching procession startles Tokia, drawing his attention. A handsome knight with a prominent mustache, Volcanic, waves to the adoring crowd. A parade of the royal knights proceeds down the street, surrounded by cheering citizens. Tokia watches the impressive spectacle, his mouth slightly agape in wonder. Isaac and Shirayuki are equally impressed by the gleaming royal knight army. Isaac explains they are revered as symbols of justice for protecting the capital. Tokia remembers that the Ainsworth Trading Company was also involved with them. The crowd cheers for the hero Volcanic, who recently defeated a great beast. From the crowd, a lone figure in a hood emerges, their face hidden. The figure rushes forward, pushing past a knight in the procession. It is Rain, and she brandishes a dagger, demanding her father's freedom. Tokia is stunned, completely baffled by the sudden violent interruption. The crowd murmurs that she is Rain, the daughter of the criminal Barty. Eugene and Shirayuki watch the scene unfold, wondering what is going on. Knight Volcanic angrily warns her against obstructing their official duties again. From beneath her hood, Rain glares back at him with silent defiance. She yells back, accusing him of framing her father as part of his duties. Volcanic is taken aback, incensed by her bold accusation. His hand tightens on his banner, his knuckles white with restrained anger. A senior officer calmly intervenes, telling him not to get rough with the child. Volcanic recognizes his superior, the stern-faced Commander Andrew. The commander tells Rain that this is a parade, not the place for petitions. Rain looks desperate, retorting that she has tried the official channels many times. A citizen pushes her back, telling her to move along and stop bothering them. The crowd begins cheering for the knights once more, thanking them for their protection. Confetti rains down as the cheers of the adoring public swell. Ren stands alone, an outcast pushed aside by the supportive crowd. The citizens whisper that she is just like her father, always causing trouble. Defeated and overwhelmed, Ryan turns and disappears down a side street. Tokiya watches her leave, his expression troubled and his curiosity piqued. He clenches his fist, making a silent decision to follow after her. The scene shifts to a quiet, empty alleyway, away from the bustling parade. Rain walks alone, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Sensing a presence, she stops and turns, calling out to whoever is there. Tokiya confronts her, asking why she attacked the knights, but she rebuffs him. She snaps at him again, insisting her reasons are none of his business. Tokiya recalls her desperate words about her father being framed by the knights. He asks her gently if there is some hidden reason for her actions. He presses further, asking what the knights might have done to her father. Her composure finally cracks as she cries out that they imprisoned her innocent father. Just then, Isaac and Shirayuki arrive, calling out to their friend. Shirayuki asks why he ran off so suddenly, and Tokiya quickly apologizes. Rain eyes the newcomers with a weary and guarded expression, saying nothing. Isaac looks at the girl, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. Tokiya asks Isaac if he remembers a newspaper article about an arrested knight. Isaac's eyes widen as he remembers, confirming this is the case. The article described the theft of a national treasure during its transport. The treasure was the magnificent and powerful Crown of Bewitchment. Knight Barty was convicted of the crime and sentenced to a lifetime in prison. Eugene asks if Isaac knows anything about this Knight Barty. A flashback reveals Barty was a famous knight, loved by the common people. However, he had grown quiet and withdrawn just before the incident occurred. Tokiya looks at the distraught girl, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. He asks softly if she is, in fact, Knight Barty's daughter. She glares at him with suspicion, asking if he is a spy from the capital. Her hand stays cautiously near the hilt of her hidden dagger. Tokiya looks at her with pure, unjudging empathy. He offers his help, asking if she would be willing to accept it. He takes a step toward her, his intention to help clear in earnest. Eugene's voice cuts in sharply, telling Tokiya to wait. He steps between Tokiya and Rain, blocking his friend from getting involved. Tokiya is shocked, asking Eugene why he would stop him. Eugene looks at him seriously, asking if he truly believes the girl's story. A memory of Tokiya's selfless, unrewarded past life flashes through his mind. Eugene's voice explains that Tokiya's desire to help everyone is a pure one. However, interfering in others' lives means spending his own time and power. It is not a simple favor, as there is often no reward for such selflessness. He warns Tokiya that his time and power are limited and must be used wisely. A memory shows a younger Tokiya giving up something he wanted for another's sake. Another memory shows him working hard while a colleague slacked off. Tokiya gazes down the grand sunlit hall of the Royal Knights headquarters. A voice from behind calls out, exclaiming that he has finally found them. Commander Andrew approaches, his eyes landing on Isaac as he calls his name. A startled Isaac turns, hesitantly confirming that he is, in fact, Isaac. The man gives a charming smile, introducing himself as Commander Andrew Melly. He warmly shakes Isaac's hand, expressing his gratitude to the Ainsworth Company. Other knights remark that they wished he had contacted them before his arrival. Andrew asks if Isaac is with his father, but Isaac says he's alone. Isaac clarifies that he is currently on a journey with his trusted friends. Andrew finds this news to be wonderful, his interest clearly piqued. He warmly invites the entire group to visit the Knights' headquarters anytime. The magnificent and imposing Royal Knights' headquarters stands against the sky. Inside, the group enjoys a lavish meal at a long, formal dinner table. Commander Andrew watches them, a pleased and confident smile on his face. Isaac looks on, clearly impressed by the influence his family name holds. As they leave, they witness the grim sight of 3 men hanging from the gates. Tokiya quietly remarks on how truly amazing the Ainsworth family is. He feels a blush of excitement knowing such an influential person. A familiar, desperate cry cuts through the air, demanding her father's release. Tokia's gaze finds the hooded girl, his expression turning to concern. A gate guard's boots step forward to confront the lone protester. Tokia's eye narrows, focusing intently on the escalating confrontation. The guard angrily tells the hooded Rain that she is being far too persistent. Losing his temper, the guard raises his baton, shouting he's had enough. The weapon whistles through the air with a sharp, threatening sound. Rain flinches away, her eyes squeezed shut in fear of the coming blow. In a flash, Tokia is there, shielding her and blocking the guard's arm. The guard is stunned, wondering what just happened and if the boy understands. Rain looks up, shocked that this strange boy has come to her defense. She realizes that while she drew a weapon, this boy did not. She admits to herself that she is terrified, fighting this battle all alone. A dark panel signifies her quiet resolve to continue fighting, no matter what. Tokia turns to her, a radiant smile on his face, declaring his belief in her. She asks why he trusts a stranger, prompting him to ask for her name. After a moment of stunned silence, she quietly tells him her first name. With newfound resolve, she states her full name, Rain Barcelona. The narration explains Tokia felt a deep desire to know more about her. In a bustling marketplace, the whispers and rumors about Rain continue to spread. Two men gossip about how Barty's daughter was causing trouble for the Knights again. One recalls his disbelief when he first heard that Knight Barty was a thief. In a dark prison cell, a disheveled Barty laments his year of captivity. His face etched with sorrow, he whispers his daughter's name, Rhine. A small footstep marks the transition to a new, quieter location. Tokia and Rain arrive at a church, greeted by a nun and several children. The elderly nun, Sister Belna, welcomes Rain, happy to see she has returned. Rain calls out happily to Sister Belna, her entire demeanor softening. A crowd of small children from the orphanage immediately swarms around Rain. The children eagerly shout out the games they want to play with her. Rain explains to Tokia that this church is a home for orphan children. She smiles, saying she often plays with them, acting as a father figure. Shirayuki, filled with boundless energy, excitedly volunteers to play with them. Sister Belna approaches the group, asking if they are friends of Rain. The kind nun is overjoyed, noting it has been long since Rain brought friends. Tokia, Isaac, and Eugene sit on a bench to speak with the sister. She introduces herself as Sister Belna, the one who manages the church. Tokia explains that he is an adventurer, traveling with his companions. Isaac asks if the sister knows Rain well, which she confirms she does. Eugene asks directly about the incident, his expression grim and serious. Sister Belna's face darkens as she confirms she knows of Barty's case. Rain adds that the sister knows all about her father's situation. The group sits quietly, ready to listen to the whole story. A wide, empty panel hangs on the name of the disgraced knight, Barty. Eugene bluntly asks Sister Belna if Barty truly stole the treasure. The nun looks down, her expression filled with a deep, weary sadness. She states that she cannot believe Sir Barty would ever commit such a crime. She asks if Rain is still protesting, even if her methods are reckless. Tokia thinks back to the cold, dismissive glares of the townspeople. Sister Belna nods knowingly, her face etched with grim understanding. She explains that at first, no one believed such a respected knight was guilty. However, the Royal Knights are one of the kingdom's most powerful organizations. As the capital's protectors, the public dares not question their authority. Tokia is stunned, a bead of sweat on his face at the injustice. Rain explains that her official petitions were always ignored by the higher-ups. Her direct protests only caused the citizens to treat her with cold disdain. Rain looks down, her face a mask of sorrow and frustration. She calls out to the sister, her voice filled with quiet despair. Tokia, flanked by his friends, declares that they want to help Rain. Shirayuki and Isaac readily agree, wanting to share Rain's belief. A flicker of hope appears on Sister Belna's weary face. The group continues their serious discussion on the weathered church bench. With tears in her eyes, the nun whispers a heartfelt and grateful "thank you." Tokia and his companions offer gentle, determined smiles in return. The church steeple stands tall against a sky filled with fluffy clouds. Rain hands a heavy pouch of coins to the sister for the orphanage. She thanks the sister for everything, telling her not to worry. With a bright smile, she waves a cheerful goodbye to the children. Sister Belna watches her leave, her expression filled with deep concern. A voice calls out to Rain against the backdrop of the sky. The sister worries that Rain cannot continue to stay at the church. Rain looks back over her shoulder, her expression turning serious. She apologizes, explaining her only true home is where she lived with her father. The sister understands, her expression sad but accepting of Rain's decision. She stands on the church steps, a silent guardian to the orphans. Tokia and Rain walk away from the quiet sanctuary of the church. Shiryuki curiously asks Rain what she is carrying in her bag. Rain explains that it is a simple meal of vegetables and grains. A simplified, cartoonish Shiryuki asks why she doesn't just buy food. Ren states grimly that no one in town will sell to a thief's daughter. Shiryuki's eyes widen in shock and horror at this cruel revelation. She flies into a rage, grabbing Rain protectively and decrying the injustice. Rain smiles softly, agreeing that her friend is right about something. Tokia turns to his companions, asking if they have found an inn yet. He confirms their plan is to stay in the capital for a while. Isaac warns that they will be camping out if they don't hurry. Shiryuki is shocked, and Rain quickly tells them it's nothing to worry about. Isaac whispers to a panicked Tokia, asking what they should do now. Tokia's eyes are wide with panic at the thought of being homeless. Rain hesitantly offers for them to stay at her house instead. Her sudden offer comically shocks the group, and she quickly apologizes. Eugene slyly notes that staying with her will save them time and money. Rain looks down, admitting it's not a bother, but she seems hesitant. She forces a strained smile, warning them her home isn't very nice. Tokia's eyes shine as he declares he wants to know more about her. He says they will be friends, so he wants to get to know her. Rain looks away nervously, warning them that they will likely regret this. Tokia shakes his head firmly, showing he is completely undeterred. Resigned to their persistence, she tells them to follow her. She clears her throat, preparing to reveal her humble, dilapidated home. She gestures to a ruined cottage, announcing that this is her house. The group stares in unified shock. Eugene mutters it's worse than he imagined. Despite the ruin, Rain tries to be welcoming and tells them to come in. Tokia and Isaac cautiously step through the crumbling doorway. The interior is a disaster, with thick cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. The kitchen is dusty and abandoned, the sound of dripping water echoing. Shiryuki, in her excitement, accidentally puts her foot through the rotten floor. Isaac, horrified by the decay, asks why she hasn't repaired it. Ren explains that she has been trying to reinforce it on her own. She says no one wants to get involved, so she has to manage alone. Eugene observes that it wouldn't be this bad if her father weren't in prison. A close-up reveals the hateful graffiti and damage done to the home. She explains that vandals came and caused trouble several times. She forces a smile, telling them it's okay if they find another inn. Rain insists that they shouldn't worry about her feelings. Tokia looks at her with resolve, stating he is not going anywhere. He raises his hand, casting his powerful rewind magic on the house. Rain can only stare in utter disbelief as the magic takes hold. Isaac proudly explains to her that this is Tokia's special skill. Shiryuki adds that he can rewind time to fix absolutely anything. Rain stands alone in her home, now perfectly clean and fully restored. Her eyes are wide with awe as she whispers that it is amazing. She recognizes the kitchen, just as it was before her father was taken. Looking at the staircase, she realizes it is exactly the same as before. She whispers that everything is just as it was when her father lived there. A happy memory of her father enjoying a meal flashes in her mind. She remembers herself as a child, eating joyfully alongside him. Tokia snaps his fingers, announcing with a grin that he is not done yet. Rain is startled as a pile of canned goods appears on the table. She stares at the strange metal cans, wondering what they could be. The cans are a modern and unfamiliar sight in this fantasy world. Tokia asks Rain if she has any plates they can use for dinner. Rain looks on, still trying to process the magical restoration of her home. The cans magically open, revealing a magnificent feast laid out on the table. She hesitates, asking if it is truly all right for her to eat this food. Tokia smiles warmly, assuring her that of course it is. Shiryuki playfully threatens to eat all the food if Rain doesn't join them. Rain finally takes a tentative, curious bite of the delicious stew. The bowl of food steams invitingly, a symbol of warmth and comfort. Her eyes light up with pure delight as she exclaims that it is delicious. Tokia watches her, a gentle and satisfied smile on his face. Eugene and Shiryuki begin to playfully squabble over the remaining food. Isaac and Tokia watch the chaotic but happy scene with amusement. Rain realizes with a start that she is sharing a meal in her home. She is overwhelmed by the thought of eating with someone again after so long. The small group enjoys their boisterous, happy meal around the table. The little cottage glows warmly against the dark, starry night sky. In stark contrast, the Royal Knight's headquarters stands cold and imposing. Inside, Commander Andrew asks an aide if their plan is proceeding smoothly. The aide confirms they are investigating the route to the deep faction's depths. The aide questions the wisdom of the commander going to such a dangerous place. Andrew scoffs, telling his subordinate not to be a fool. He declares that retrieving the item will guarantee promotions for all of them. His eyes gleam with ambition as he thinks that his goal is nearly within reach. He believes that once he has it, his future will be secured. The next day dawns bright and clear over the bustling capital. Tokia and Isaac approach a shopkeeper to ask some questions. The man turns from his work asking what they want. He notes their unfamiliar faces and asks if they are travelers. The shopkeeper initially refuses to speak with them about the sensitive topic. Another citizen gossips that Barty was bribing his way to the top. A different man remarks that Barty seemed nice but was a criminal. Tokia sighs in frustration as he takes notes on the local rumors. He realizes all the information he's getting is just baseless gossip. He notes with dismay that everyone only speaks ill of Sir Barty. Back at the house, Rain asks if he was out gathering information. Tokia explains he wants concrete proof, not just his belief in her. Ren looks at him seriously, saying she believes her father is innocent. She continues, her voice low, saying the only other person is, probably Sister Belna from the church orphanage. She explains the case was a hot topic at first, but now no one speaks of it. Tokia asks if she knows the basic details of the theft case. She places a newspaper on the table, saying it was widely reported. They read the headline, "The Crown of Bewitchment Theft Case." A map shows the crown was lost while being transported to the capital. The article names Knight Barty as the primary suspect in the theft. Isaac wishes they knew the names of any other knights who were present. Rain says she tried asking the Knights' headquarters many times. However, she was always told that they could not disclose any information. She looks at Tokia helplessly, admitting she doesn't know who framed him. She recalls that her father never spoke of being set up by anyone. Her hands clench into tight, trembling fists on the table in frustration. Tokia looks on with a serious and determined expression, ready to make a promise. He tells a worried Rain that everything is going to be all right now. With Isaac at his side, Tokia vows they will gather proof of her father's innocence. He encourages Rain, telling her they should all do their best to succeed together. In her now brightly lit home, Rain agrees, her voice filled with newfound hope. The next day, the group begins their investigation in the capital's busy marketplace. Tokia and Isaac look for leads, but the task seems daunting from the start. Eugene complains that they are only finding baseless rumors, and Rain sadly agrees. Rain recalls that she had already asked Sister Belna for any information she might have. The kind nun could only confirm that she knew of no one else defending Barty. A quiet hopelessness falls over the group as they stand in the empty market square. Shirayuki looks to Eugene for answers, but he is just as frustrated and lost. Suddenly, Isaac has a brilliant flash of insight, startling Tokia with his exclamation. He tells a confused Tokia that he knows a place where the most reliable information gathers. A tiny, frantic Shirayuki bounces with excitement, demanding to know where this place is. Isaac simply offers a knowing and confident smile, his plan already in motion. They find themselves in the magnificent, vaulted halls of the Royal Knights headquarters. Isaac, Eugene, and Tokia stand confidently at the grand entrance, ready to get answers. Tokia can hardly believe they've actually made it inside, sweating with nervous excitement. He marvels that he, Isaac, and Eugene are inside the Knight Order's main headquarters. Isaac explains that he was able to secure their entry by using the Ainsworth family name. He recalls his father, Linus, telling him to use their name only for special occasions. A frantic Tokia tries to stop Shirayuki, who wants to explore the outside grounds. Hiding nearby, Shirayuki shushes Rain and Tokia, warning they'll be kicked out if found. A voice calls out, and they turn to see Commander Andrew greeting young Master Isaac. The commander welcomes them with a broad, disarming smile and a hand to his chest. He politely asks what business brings them to the headquarters today. Isaac gets straight to the point, stating they wish to know about the national treasure theft. Andrew's expression tightens slightly as Isaac mentions the incident that led to Barty's capture. The commander's face becomes an unreadable mask as he assesses the young investigators. His professional smile returns as he prepares his carefully worded response. He dismisses the case as resolved, asking why they're so curious about it. Isaac explains that they became interested after seeing the girl at the victory parade. Andrew confirms that the girl is Barty's daughter, who has been pleading his innocence for a year. He paints her as a troubled nuisance, claiming her family ties cloud her judgment. With a magnanimous gesture, he grants them permission to investigate freely and question anyone. The commander gives them a final formal bow before departing down the long corridor. With Andrew gone, Isaac declares that they should split up and begin their questioning. Tokia diligently interviews one of the knights, taking notes on a small pad. Isaac also takes careful notes, his expression focused as he gathers information. Eugene, with his intimidating presence, questions a nervous, bald-headed knight. Unseen by the group, a knight peeks around a pillar, spying on their activities. The day wears on outside the grand headquarters, but they've found no new leads. Their search takes them to the vast and ornate archives within the headquarters. Isaac lets out a heavy sigh, slumping against a pillar in frustration. He reports that no one speaks of Barty's innocence, and the library has no new evidence. Tokia remains determined, insisting they haven't questioned everyone just yet. Eugene warns him that they may not get another chance to enter the headquarters. As they argue, a voice calls out to them from a nearby arched doorway. A young, freckle-faced knight asks if they have a moment to speak with him. The knight crosses the wide tiled floor to meet with the three companions. He introduces himself as Noah, a former subordinate of the disgraced knight Barty. Tokia and Isaac are stunned by this unexpected and fortunate revelation. Noah confirms that he heard they were asking around for information on his former master. Tokia explains that they are acquainted with Barty's daughter, Rein. Noah's expression softens with understanding upon hearing Rein's name. He looks at his own hand, recalling that Barty himself had taught him swordsmanship. In a flashback, he remembers Barty, a candidate for commander, guiding him as a rookie. He explains that Barty was kind to everyone, a gentle leader respected for more than his skill. He remembers Barty's straightforward and sincere smile, a mark of his true character. The scene shifts to a shadowed image of Commander Andrew, the source of the trouble. Noah reveals his suspicion. He believes Barty was targeted by Master Andrew. It confused Tokia, asked why Commander Andrew would do such a thing. Noah explains that Barty and Andrew were contemporaries who joined the Knights together. They were known as the Two Aces, both destined to be candidates for the next commander. However, there was a critical difference between the two promising knights. Andrew was born into a prominent noble family, while Barty was a humble commoner. Eugene grimly concludes that Andrew's noble pride must have been wounded by the rivalry. Noah tells the group that he has something important he wants to give them. He holds out a thick, leather-bound journal, its pages marked with tabs. He explains that this is the journal that Master Barty entrusted to his care. Opening the book, he reveals a map detailing the location of the sealed crown. A brief, silent panel shows Rein's determined eye, the focus of Barty's concern. Noah confesses that for the past year, he was too scared to know what to do. He was a low-ranking knight, just learning his job and afraid of the repercussions. He told himself that he was powerless to do anything by himself. He made excuses while his honorable master sat alone in a dark prison cell. But seeing Rein's lonely protests and the group's tireless efforts changed his mind. He looks down, his face crumbling with shame as he asks himself what he has been doing. He knows Barty must have trusted him to have given him such a precious item. Overcome with guilt and regret, Noah wipes the tears from his eyes. He looks up at them, thanking them for giving him the courage to finally speak. Tokia and Isaac look on, their expressions full of empathy for the young knight. Noah reveals that Andrew is forming a recovery unit to retrieve the hidden treasure. He sought to find the treasure Barty supposedly stole to solidify the lie. Eugene realizes they have no choice but to make their move before Andrew does. Noah bows his head deeply, beginning his final desperate plea for Barty. With his face strained with emotion, he begs them to please take care of Rein. Tokia accepts the journal, and with it, the weight of Noah's request. Later, the group returns to Rein's now repaired and welcoming home. Tokia finds Rein and Shirayuki playing happily just outside the front gate. He approaches Rein from behind, ready to deliver the news she has waited for. He tells her that her father was innocent, and her face fills with stunned hope. The dam of her emotions finally breaks, and she weeps with overwhelming relief. As Shirayuki comforts her, she remarks that this news makes everything clear. The proof of Barty's innocence lies at the bottom of the deep faction. Holding the journal, Tokia's eyes burn with resolve as he declares the operation has begun.